Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway as it plays host to the 10th race of the second season of the BackFire Sim Racing Cup Series. Here tonight is the regular season finale. When the checkered flag waves, 16 drivers will begin their journey to try and become the champion in the upcoming playoffs. I'm Seth Cole, alongside of Michael Norman. Well, Michael, Las Vegas, very well known for gambling. Do we see some drivers maybe play the gamble here tonight to get a last-minute spot into that playoff grid?
Well, from all the races I've seen here at Las Vegas, it's really hard to tell. It's the last race before the playoffs begin, so all those drivers on the outside of the bubble here are going to be trying to get their strategies done. So, Seth, I really think we could see some of these guys throw in the magical hat, per se, to try to get some type of strategy for the win.
As of right now, only 19 drivers are eligible for those 16 spots. A number of them already have locked up spots, I should say, coming into tonight's event. We'll document all of that in just a few moments. Now we're going to go down for pre-race ceremonies, and we will begin with tonight's invocation, courtesy of Pastor Zach Woods.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you for technology that exists like iRacing so that we can connect with friends near and far over a shared passion of racing. Tonight, we specifically lift up our friend Hubka and his family tonight as they are going through the change of what it means to lose a loved one within your family. And so in that same vein, Lord, we pray for all those who are going through transitions in life, seasons of hardship, and we pray that you might be with them in this time. As for the drivers tonight, Lord, we pray for patience and wisdom, and we pray for good playoff racing. In Jesus Christ's name, amen.
And now please join us in honoring America with the singing of tonight's national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars
$150 laps here tonight at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. As mentioned, a number of drivers already locked into the playoffs, regardless of where they finish here this evening. However, you got to think, Michael, those drivers are eyeing tonight as an opportunity to either gain some extra bonus points or certainly some more momentum as well, because the one thing you don't want to do when you already know you're going to be a playoff contender is begin next week's playoffs at Phoenix on a down note.
Yeah, and that's very true. But knowing that you are locked in, well, is a bit of a relief in a way. But that's not going to stop them from gambling to try to get the win because, as you said, you don't want to go into the first race in a downward way. You want to go up with a big up, and a big up would be ending up in victory lane.
Tonight, these drivers will be preparing for the 5-Star Cuts 150 at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the last race of the regular season. Qualifying is just wrapping up, and it appears that the 33 of Trey Whitehead will be starting as tonight's pole sitter. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this is Trey's first pole of his BackFire sim racing career, and he will be lined up on the front row alongside of Tom Bourne. These are two guys right here, Michael, that are making up the first two spots. They're up there in the point standings. We know they're going to be battling the playoffs. There's no way mathematically they could fall out, but they're still looking for their first trip to victory lane, so, maybe a little bit of added motivation for guys like that as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you one thing. He didn't win the pole by much, only 0.04 of a second between him and Tom Bourne. So look for them. They're going to be the two I'm going to keep my eye on for this race, starting up at the front here. But they're hungry, and they want to get that first win heading off into the playoffs.
Let's take a look here at the starting lineup for this evening's event. 30 drivers scheduled to take the green flag here tonight. Drivers that are already locked into the playoffs at this point in time would include Chris Woodard, Kyle Gartner, DJ Daniel, Christopher Lawrence, Alexander Kerfan, Tom Bourne, Aaron Brown, Zach Woods, Brock Whitehead, Trey Whitehead, Patrick McQuaid, Josh Billiter, and Cam Caldwell. They are all locked in regardless of what happens here tonight. A couple of other drivers, including Gene Cato and Noah Owens, they could lock themselves up playoff spots if they can finish up inside the top 20 in the finishing results this evening. And the guy everybody's going to be gunning for is going to be that 39 of Ron Gartner. He holds the 16th and final playoff position as things stand right now. We'll document the drivers that are going to try and snipe that spot away from him in a moment. As you see, David Modespa was the last driver to take time. The drivers that will start towards the rear of the field that did not take time, 26 starting will be Aaron Brown, the two-time winner. Three-time winner, rather, for Aaron Brown. Mike Tellier will be 27th. Nick Biddy making his debut tonight in 28th. Then Mike Corvo and Joe David will make up the 15th and final row. One thing I noticed coming tonight here as well, we're just getting ready to start off the playoffs, and there's a lot of new faces in the field. 5-6 drivers making their series debut here tonight. How much is that going to mix things up here, especially if we end up seeing them racing during the playoff races?
Well, it's going to make the veterans race a little more careful around them. They don't really know much about these new drivers, so it's hard to judge their racing style until they get around them. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them being real cautious around the new drivers making their starts tonight.
Ron Gartner, as mentioned, is the driver that everybody that's below him are going to try and better to get that final spot. He is going to roll off from the 16th position. The drivers he has to worry about here tonight would include DJ Roberts, the 11. He's been very consistent the last couple of weeks. He is 20 points out of that 16th playoff position. David Modespa, 24 points out, and Mike Sibanovsky, 32 points out. Those drivers could point their way in at this point in time. They, along with Matthew Fleming, if they were to go to victory lane here tonight, they would leapfrog their way into the playoff grid and would knock the 39 out of that final playoff position. So still a lot to race for a number of these guys in the field. And of course, as mentioned as well, those drivers that are already locked in, they want that victory. They want that positive momentum going to the Phoenix International Raceway next week. We are about ready to turn them loose here tonight under the lights at Las Vegas. Trey Whitehead, Tom Bourne, Cam Caldwell, and Alexander Kerfan. That's your first two rows. Michael, they're headed up to the start-finish line. Let's turn them loose.
Absolutely. Here we go. Waiting for the drivers to reach the restart zone. Green flag is out. We're underway here at Las Vegas.
A little bit of connection problems right at the start there for Tom Bourne. I don't know if that helped Cam Caldwell to get second or if he just went when the 33 went. Though they will go first and second. Bourne drops back to third. Kerfan now to fourth. And keeping on that 24 of Chris Woodard. Ooh, maybe a little too high there off of turn two. May have brushed the wall as early as the first lap.
That sometimes happens. It's hard to judge how close to the wall you really are. And I wanted to say this too before we went racing. There's nobody in this field with as much pressure and stress right now as that 39 machine. It's got so many variables that can knock him out of the playoffs. He's just really hoping that there's either he can win or that there's a repeat winner here tonight.
So there to the top side of TJ Roberts. The 11 was actually down on the apron through 3 and 4. I don't know if he was trying to get out of other drivers' way, or if maybe he just over-rotated the car through the center, but he was definitely in trouble. Oh, another car in trouble right there is Jay Gimbel in the 81 as he got up and into Bronson Stafford. Everybody keeps it straight. Nice save there by the AC Delco Chevrolet. And now Ron Gartner turns just across his nose, and into turn one, he's coming back up the track, and everyone somehow avoids him.
Holy moly. That
My
was
goodness.
that was breathtaking. I just watching all that, and see, and it's just like that. That's how quickly your championship hopes could end, just like that.
That probably should have been 2 or 3 cautions in the span of that lap, and we are still under the green flag. Tremendous piece of driving, not just by the drivers that we saw out of shape, but everybody else around them to give them the space necessary to gather those machines back up. Back up towards the front, Alexander Kerfan, former winner in that 99, of course, the championship winning car that Matthew Robinson had last season. He's alongside the pole sitter Trey Whitehead for second place, as Cam Caldwell, the Pocono winner, has gone to the point, trying to leave everybody in his rearview mirror.
Starting to get a little single file here. I'm curious to know just how much these drivers, if at all, are lifting in these corners. I know that this track with the setup in this package could be just about full throttle here. I want to see if that is the case. It seems to be just about the case. I'm riding on board with our leader right now.
He got really Bronson Stafford. He tagged the 9 of Christopher Lawrence, and the caution is going to come out. He had another car up into the outside wall back there. Not certain who that was. The yellow flag waves in what was a battle at the time for the 6th position. The other car might have been the 34 of Mike Sibanovsky, and I saw go up to the outside wall. And you saw it right there as we were riding on board with the 16 of Bronson Stafford. We'll get a more in-depth look of what led to the contact between the 9 and the 16. Christopher Lawrence obviously getting the worst of that exchange.
Trying to look at it right here, if I can get a good camera angle of it.
Like maybe the 16, that left front might have gotten on the white line perhaps.
Yeah,
Got him
all
tight
right.
and sent him up into the left rear quarter panel of
Yep,
Lawrence.
right there.
And
Yeah, right there it did it. He just clipped the apron and got himself a little tight, and he just kind of washed up the track right into the 9.
And indeed, the 34 of Mike Sibanovsky was the other driver that was collected up in it. And remember, Sibanovsky is one of those drivers that's on the outside of the playoff cut line looking in. These drivers, as we've already documented the entirety of this season, they do have faster pairs available to them, but certainly don't want to have to use it this early on. I believe that other driver that might have had that front-end contact with Lawrence, I think, was the 60 of Zachary Woods. So 3 drivers actually getting a piece of this incident over there in turn 4.
Yeah, absolutely. That was very out of the blue there as you were looking back at it. At least I was and everything, and I just, all it takes is a little bit. You're running full throttle here, so there's no way to back out, because if you back out, you're at risk of getting run into from behind. So you have to ride it out. If you hit the apron, it's on you. So unfortunately, just one small mistake resulted in our first caution of the night.
Well, Christopher Lawrence was already locked into the playoffs coming into tonight. He was 4th in the overall standings. Bronson Stafford did not make enough starts this season to be eligible for his Michigan win to count towards a playoff position, but obviously he was trying to be a multi-time winner on the year. He is currently back in the 26th position as he came down pit road to get some of that right front damage repaired. Christopher Lawrence, Mike Sibanovsky, they are officially a faster pair in the hole. So anything from here to the checkered flag that they're involved in, whatever damage they sustain, it's either going to be something they'll have to deal with for the remainder of this race or may take them out of tonight's festivities. Of course, for Lawrence, already locked in. Sibanovsky, though, using that faster pair this early on, it obviously doesn't take him out of the playoff picture, but it certainly puts him behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, it does, and that's something you don't really want to be behind at the beginning of a race. And so he's going to have to work a little extra hard to try to get himself back right and in the right positions again.
We knew that Aaron Brown, the three-time winner and the winner of the last two races, was running a little bit late and was going to try and be in here as soon as possible. He is just now coming out onto the racetrack, starting this race from pit road, and he will be 4 laps down at the start of this thing. But we'll have to see if he's going to have enough cautions to get back on the lead lap or not. I would go back to the case of Zachary Woods back at Pocono, where he started that race 7 laps down and went on to finish that race on the lead lap in 7th place. So never say never. If you're Aaron Brown, of course, still has a shot to make it 3 in a row and be a 4-time winner on the season. Already, obviously, locked into the playoff 7th in the overall standings. And again, we talk about this, but we'll mention it again here tonight for people that may be tuning in for the first time to the BackFire Sim Racing Cup Series. It is not a win and you're in system. It is all about consistency. You have to be in the top 16 in points to be eligible for a playoff position. So all these drivers that we're mentioning that are winners, they didn't get into the playoffs because of their wins. They got into the playoffs because of their consistency and the points that they gained in the first 9 races of the season. They're now trying to close out the deal to secure those playoff spots. It'll be Cam Caldwell and Alexander Kerfan the front row. Trey Whitehead and Tom Bourne will make up row 2. Chris Woodard and Patrick McQuaid with some new colors on his 77. They're in row 3. Matthew Fleming and Brock Whitehead in row 4. And the top 10 is going to be completed by Kyle Gartner and TJ Roberts. We saw there, Michael, as you mentioned, them get rather spread out and looked like we were settling into a long green flag run. Do these drivers kind of take a page from that book again, settle things out, and try and see if they can get this thing into a long green flag run, maybe get us into potentially a round of green flag pit stops?
It's very possible. Not a lot of cars came down pit road under this caution, so they're still on roughly 5-6 lap old tires. So it's going to be interesting to see. I feel like these cars could get spread out enough to get a long green flag run, but we'll have to see here as the green flag's back out and we're back underway here at Vegas.
Cam Caldwell leads us back to the start-finish line, got himself a good jump, and we'll leave them side by side for second with Trey Whitehead on the bottom, Alexander Kerfan on the top. Woodard swaps from bottom to top. He moved up for a brief moment, then comes back down to the inside to cross over Kerfan. That's going to be for third. Tom Bourne looking on there in the 54. Of course, another driver that's locked into the playoffs but searching for a victory in that Sky Motorsports Toyota Camry. It's going to be second place under contest. A couple of Camaros going to mix it up.
Ooh, the 33 got a little high there. Thought maybe he might have hit the wall, but that could have been just my camera angle.
See the apron being utilized there on the front straightaway. That is legal. Chris Woodard putting all 4 tires down below the white line. It's more of a guideline. It is not an out of bounds like the double yellow line at Daytona or Talladega. And it's looking like at least early on here, Michael, surprisingly enough, the outside line gets some really good momentum, especially off of turn 2.
Yeah, the outside lane, you can really get a good run. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I don't necessarily think that Las Vegas has progressive banking, but it's just, with the side draft effect, and if you can just keep your foot in it, just like the rest of these cars do, on the inside, it might be the shortest way around, but it's more of a tighter way. You know what I mean? Like, on the outside, you're not having to turn the wheel as much as you would be if you're driving on the inside, and that's where it makes up the time.
You mentioned the word tight, and that's what we've got with this type of racing. I mean, you talked about it full throttle. So theoretically, what we're seeing right now with all this side-by-side, we're seeing mile-and-a-half pack racing for these guys. So really, here tonight, instead of really trying to search around and find a good line for good momentum, it's really all about controlling the draft and being able to generate a run to make passes. As we see right there, the 33 was able to do that with the 12, getting around the 24 of Woodard for the top position.
Yeah, and I noticed, too, he set him up in the corner. 33 went high. The 12 kind of went a little, or the 24 went a little bit high to kind of run or break the draft, and then the 33 was able to cut it down low off the corner with the momentum and use the 12's draft to get around here. As you can see, pack racing is good and all here on mile and a halves, but if you get enough 3 wide side-by-side racing, then we might not be green for very much longer.
Obviously, very little room for error. Another thing we got to document here as well is there's actually a really good battle coming to tonight for the regular season championship. Only 3 points separate the top 3. Woodard is your current points leader. Kyle Gartner only 1 point back in second. And DJ Daniel, who is the highest of the drivers right now that came down
very
pit
close.
road under that only caution. He came down for, I believe it was just a gas and go. He is currently up to the 17th spot after restarting back in 23rd. Oh, that's tight there with the 54 and the 31, but DJ Daniel was only 3 points back for the overall points lead.
Yep, keeping an eye on things here. They're getting real close, real tight, especially up here at the pack. You can see some of these cars have not used their, have chosen to kind of just ride around with their damaged race cars. Caution is out.
And I believe it is Ron Gartner in the 39, the guy that we highlighted coming into tonight at the final 16th playoff position coming into this evening's race, the 83 of Joe David. Looks like he may have been involved as well, with Gartner giving him a little bit of a tap from behind. Go back and see what happened there. This, depending on how hard of a hit the 39 Ron Gartner took, this could have huge playoff implications.
Absolutely. Trying to look and see if I can find him here.
95 of Aaron Brown was alongside him, and ooh, hard to tell from the angle we were just looking at there whether the 39 came down or the 95 came up.
I can
Joshua
look
Billiter
here.
and the 25 got a piece of that as well.
I want to look here at the. I'm looking here at the replay here. I could probably get a good angle with this. We're doing in slow motion here. I think the 95 tried to come up. You can see him coming up the track. 33. It's kind of a arguing over space thing. It looked like the 95 was maybe trying to arc the corner a little bit. Came up into the 39.
And I noticed as well that the 39, the line he was running, he would have had a very shallow entry into turn one. We're going to go on board here with the debuting 83 of Joe David. Up ahead, and you'll see the contact there between the 95 and the 39. Oh, nowhere for David to be able to go. You saw the 25 of Joshua Billiter just up ahead of him also. Some hard hits taken in that one. And again, we're going to have to wait and see the end result in the case of Ron Gartner, because
He
a couple of guys back there.
Repair. He did use his fast repair.
All right, so that is a fast repair in the hole for the guy that came in as the 16th and final playoff driver. Now the couple of guys we got to keep an eye on here, depending on the situation of the 39 car for the remainder of this race. TJ Roberts, who is 20 points out, and David Modespaw, who is 24 points out. Right now, Modespaw is up in the 8th position, and TJ Roberts is currently back in 18th, but that's because he decided to come down pit road here under this caution. With 30 drivers taking the green flag here tonight, that breathed life into those two drivers and their ability to try and point their way in. If we had, say, maybe only 20 some odd drivers start this race, they probably wouldn't have had a mathematical shot.
Absolutely. It's just, it's crazy just how tight the points battle can really be.
I'm not certain. I don't think either one of these drivers were involved in that incident that we just saw. But according to my telemetry, Bronson Stafford, who was involved in the Christopher Lawrence incident that brought out the first caution, he has used a fast repair. And the same can be said for Jay Gimbel in the 81, who we saw have that tremendous save in the first couple laps of this race. So add a couple of other drivers to the list that are already a fast repair down less than 20 laps into tonight's festivities. It's going to be Woodard who will be the leader when we eventually get the 1 to green signal. Cam Caldwell in second. Tom Bourne third. Noah Owens, good run here early for the 88 as he's up in fourth. And Matthew Fleming right there as well, the long shot driver. He is currently in the top 5 in 5th place. Patrick McQuaid, Jeffrey Vickery, David Modespaw, that's your top 8. Christopher Lawrence is back up to 9th. Granted, a fast repair in the hole, but that 9 machine's obviously very fast. He'll be restarting inside the top 10 and 9th, and DJ Daniel has now worked his way up to the top 10. Saw a number of drivers hit pit road here under this caution, Michael, but 10 drivers up to this point have decided still not to come to pit lane. Would this be possibly trying to preserve those Goodyear tires for late race restarts?
Yes, it would be. Late race restarts are definitely something that you could use fresh tires for. However, it's a bit of a gamble because what if you don't have late race restarts? What if this race goes green for a good long while and you have to take green flag pit stops? So it's one of those things where you gamble and hope that it pays off for you.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a look here at some of the debuting drivers. As mentioned, number of drivers taking their first green flag of their BackFire sim racing career. The highest run of them right now would be the 82 of Mike Corvo. He's driving for Mid-Pack Motorsports. Not too far behind him, we find the 85, 20th place position of Nick Biddy. He's also out of Mid-Pack Motorsports. 41 is now driven by Nick Shriver. That is out of Blue Motorsports. Derek Sherman in the number 53. Believe Sherman is out of... I'll double check on that one. I don't see him associated with a team. And Joe David, who we saw get involved in that last incident in the 83 car, he's also out of Mid-Pack Motorsports. So a lot of drivers here making their debuts here tonight in the final regular season race. And a number of them having some good performances here. A couple of them hitting a little bit of a bump in the road, but the night's still early. Plenty of opportunity for a comeback as Chris Woodard and Cam Caldwell, a couple of former winners, ready to bring us back down and get us back under the green flag at Vegas. Bourne and Caldwell are going to be the two to battle for the second spot. Tom Bourne going to try and edge ahead here off of turn number 2 as but a connection problems the four of Matthew Fleming. You saw him disappear off screen for a brief moment. He's back alongside Tom Bourne now for third. Oh, Carhart in the wall. Was that Noah Owens? Oh, and now the 34 of Mike Sibanovsky up into the catch fence. Kerfan, Kyle Gartner all collected up in this one.
25
Zachary
in it as
Woods.
well.
That's Josh Billiter, the 25. That one started, I believe, with the 88 of Noah Owens. He's the one I saw shoot up to the outside wall. And that's the problem with wrecks taking place not only in the corner, but up at the front of the field. Not much of an opportunity for drivers to be able to get through without sustaining some damage.
Oh, there was contact made. The 88 came down into the 77, and that's kind of what started that. And then he came up into the 1, and it was just all after that.
There's David Modespa. Ooh, DJ Daniel got a piece. Christopher Lawrence got a piece of it. A lot more drivers than originally expected. Oh, and there you saw, that was, I believe, 83 of Joe David getting into the 60 of Zachary Woods as they slid into the incident. So we got a number of different camera angles to have to look at here of different drivers that got bits and pieces that we did not originally know. Let's see here with DJ Daniel in the 23. Was a 3-time winner last season, still looking for his first win on the year. He's up there in the point standings, obviously locked into a playoff spot, but there he is involved. Gene Cato is involved. 82, who we just highlighted, collected up in that. Mike Corvo. There's the 49 back there of Kyle Gartner. Let's see how last year's playoff contender, actually last year's Final Four contender and a playoff contender this season, how he got a piece of this wreck. Kerfan, who's just ahead of him, we know was involved as well. Oh, Kerfan got clipped. Clipped by, I think that might have been Mike Sibanovsky, and then he in turn comes down and gets Kyle Gartner. Sibanovsky, correct me if I'm wrong, was already a faster pair down. So this could be his night over and subsequently his playoff hopes over.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was going to say, some of these drivers that were involved in this wreck had just taken their faster pair, so unfortunately for them, they're going to either have to ride around till it blows up or going to end up having to just take it behind the wall here, and it's very, very unfortunate for those drivers.
Take a look here at Zachary Woods in the 60. Oh, wow, 83 of David went down to the apron full speed trying to avoid, and there was no way he was ever going to make that corner. He just wipes out Zachary Woods, and there's Joshua Billard in the 25 involved as well. Close call also for the other driver just sneaking through there. I believe that was the 53 I saw just barely sneaking through there. So if we kind of tallied up all the drivers involved, I think we'd definitely be up in the double digits. I think it's safe to say 10, 12 drivers getting bits and pieces of this wreck, some more so than others. Sibanovsky on pit road. Extensive repairs on that 34 car. He's lost a lap. Joshua Billiter and Joe David, same deal for them. They're off the lead lap now. Zachary Woods coming back down to the attention of his crew. Kyle Gartner coming back down pit road also. The guy this is helping, actually, is the 95 of Aaron Brown, because this is allowing him, with these cautions coming out, to be able to get laps back and potentially be back on the lead lap before we even reach halfway at this point.
I agree. He has definitely been helping that 95 team, so it's he might be secretly hoping for more wrecks, but it's going to be very close just to see.
So let's set it back up here for you, as I believe we'll get the 1 to green signal this time by, well, yes we do. For a moment there I thought they were going to make us wait another lap, but nope, lights are out. Chris Woodard, the race leader once again over Cam Caldwell. Tom Bourne and Matthew Fleming in row 2. Patrick McQuaid, Jeffrey Vickery now up here inside the top 10 as he's in 6th. Brock Whitehead and Bronson Stafford in 7th and 8th. And then TJ Roberts and Nick Biddy is now up in the top 10. Nick Shriver will start 11th. Trey Whitehead in 12th. Alexander Kerfan 13th. Christopher Lawrence 14th. Mike Tellier in 15th. Then Noah Owens, David Modespa, DJ Daniel, Mike Corvo, and Zachary Woods. That completes the top 10. Let's update some more drivers that have taken on some fast repairs. David Modespa, Noah Owens. They are a fast repair in the hole, as are Trey Whitehead, our pole sitter, and Alexander Kerfan. So only 25 laps into this 150-lap event, Michael, and it's getting towards that point, and we've seen this happen during the course of the season as well, where it may be easier by the end of the night in the late race restarts to name off the drivers that still have their fast repair intact rather than the drivers that have already used their fast repairs.
Yeah, it's looking quite that way, but hopefully these drivers will be able to start breaking away from each other, and we'll start getting single file again and get a good long green flag run in, because I don't know about you, I want to see what these guys can come up with for strategies.
Absolutely. Las Vegas is all about gambling, and with pit strategy, there's always going to be a gambler in the bunch, as Woodard gets us back under the green flag. Really good on the last couple of restarts has been that 24 car. He's been able to pull away and leave them battling for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Patrick McQuaid making a move to the inside of Cam Caldwell. Move him up a spot, and now the 24 very low there on the back straightaway. Was that kind of doing an IndyCar type thing, making sure the cars behind him didn't get some draft?
Yeah, I would assume so, but it's not going to work, because much like a plate track, if the cars behind him are drafting together, he's going to get pushed up there.
You saw right there, it didn't work at all. Tom Bourne closed the gap up through 3 and 4. He's now all over the back bumper of that Chevrolet Camaro out of Rebel Racing. Side by side for 3rd. Little close there between Cam Caldwell on the top, Patrick McQuaid on the bottom. And then behind them, you've got the 31 of Brock Whitehead coming into the mix. He's in that 5th position, waiting to see which lane's going to open up. Does he choose the top? Does he choose the bottom? He almost took a peek there of maybe thinking about going 3 wide in the front straightaway.
And yeah, so much for trying to get broken away and single file for a run. This pack racing, as dangerous as a plate track would be here, and these guys have just got to be careful and try not to make any mistakes.
Riding on board here with TJ Roberts. We got to keep an eye on him and the 39 of Ron Gartner, because these two guys at this point in time might be the ones to settle it out for that 16th and final playoff position. Now, Ron Gartner, the measuring stick, is currently in the 20th position. 20 points back coming into tonight was TJ Roberts, which means he has to fit. Oh, sorry, we'll get to that in a minute. We've got a wreck in the back there. Nick Biddy going around with, I believe that's the 33 of Trey Whitehead. Caution's going to fly for the 4th time here tonight.
Yep. Ooh, voice worked with me. Yes, I was watching that happen. I think these guys just kind of got together. I'm not sure if it was the 85. Oh, no, it was the 9. Oh, the 9 hooked the 85 into the 33, and the 9 car got a piece of it too.
Lawrence right there behind these two. Oh,
Yeah, the 85 was a slower race car. They both tried to get underneath them. What happened was, and I can see it here, the 9 car tried to pull up to go into the outside of the damaged car. Thought he got up a little too high and was going to hit the 33. Turned back down low to avoid hitting him, but ended up turning into I believe that's the 85.
We talk about here tonight already a lot of arguing for space. It's been more so in side-by-side than it has been with nose-to-tail type situations like we're used to seeing at the mile and a half. So,
speaking of strategy here, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Seth, but you got some cars coming in, some cars staying out.
Yeah, there's been a lot of strategizing going on here in the first few cautions of this race. We've had about 2/3 of the field on pit road at this point in time, and now maybe another quarter of the field coming down pit road under this caution. And so at this point in time, the only 2 drivers who have not made a pit stop in this race since the green flag dropped are the 2 you see right there front and center on your screen, the 54 of Tom Bourne and the 12 of Cam Caldwell. Everybody else has been on pit road either out of necessity or in terms of strategy.
Yeah, and that's going to be an interesting thing to say the least. I want to see how long is it going to take these top 4 to come down pit road.
Christopher Lawrence, we know, did get some damage there from that incident, and he was already a faster pair in the hole. Joshua Billiter saw the 25 going around the top side. He's going to get his lap back. He'll be back on the same lap as the race leader, Tom Bourne, which is going to give us a total of 27 drivers on the lead lap. Joe David, Aaron Brown, and Mike Sibanovsky going to be the 3 currently off the lead lap, and it looks like the evening may be over for the 34 of Sibanovsky, who, of course, as we mentioned, was involved in 2 incidents, had already used his faster pair after the first one. He has spent the last 8.5+ minutes on pit road, 8 laps down. That's pretty much his championship hopes, a nail in the coffin there. Tough break for him. And now it kind of narrows it down to...
Something I've noticed is that the 95 has not been getting any of his laps back.
Well, the big problem for him is there's been drivers ahead of him that have been a lap down. So he hasn't been the lucky dog under these yellows.
That's true. I figured it'd have been the first car not involved in some incidents, but he's got the 83 now, 1 lap down in front of him. So hopefully, we'll see what can happen with these guys.
So as the green flag will be coming out momentarily here, we're still waiting for the pace car to give us the 1 to green signal, as we're 32 laps into this race and already working our 4th caution of the night. Give you a rundown of the top 10 once more. Bourne and Caldwell going to be the top 2 when we go back green. Brock Whitehead in 3rd. Bronson Stafford 4th. Nick Shriver. We haven't really talked a lot about him tonight outside of the fact that this is his debut, and maybe that's a good thing because he's been able to keep that car out of trouble in his first start in the season. He is now up into the 5th spot. 6th is going to be TJ Roberts, Alexander Kerfan in 7th, Mike Tellier 8th, Noah Owens in 9th. And the top 10 is going to be completed by David Modespa. Michael, you know that we are in possibly a race of survival when only 32 laps into this race, nearly 50% of your top 10 for this restart are already a faster pair in the hole.
Yeah, and that's got to make some of these drivers with the one that they still have smiling just a little bit more, because you know we can't stress enough the pack racing that'll go on with this package. And Seth, me and you both know from experience too, it's very dangerous to be around and battling 3 wide, because it doesn't last very long before someone's in the wall.
Even more so, I would think, at a 1.5-mile track than at somewhere like Daytona or Talladega, tracks that are built for that type of pack racing. Here at Las Vegas, when you think about 1.5-mile racing, you're thinking about one driver utilizing the inside line, one driver right up there against the wall and trying to compare lap times. No, when it comes to the type of pack racing we're seeing here tonight, it's more about positioning than it is about trying to figure out which groove your car is faster in. And even with that being said, I would kind of wonder if tire wear is that much of a concern here this evening. We're under nighttime conditions, so the track conditions much cooler, a lot more grip available to these drivers, and with the lower horsepower package allowing them to do this pack racing, if we do see a long green flag run, it may come more down to fuel strategy than it would be the wear on the Goodyears.
Yeah, it really would. And you know, while you were explaining that, Seth, I had a comparison come into my head. It may not be a very good one in the sense of what happened, but the pack racing here is kind of like how it was when the Indy cars came to this racetrack back in 2011.
Yeah, that's true, and we're going to go back under the green flag here once again. It's our fourth restart of the night, not even halfway through this race, as Tom Bourne pulls away. Cam Caldwell in second, going to reel him back in with the use of the draft and crosses him over down the back straightaway. So I'm almost wondering here too, just with what we're seeing, Michael, if we end up having ourselves a late race restart, I almost think you don't want to be the race leader.
No. Oh, there's another caution.
And this one is going to be for, it looks like, the 83 once again of Joe David. Eric Sherman in the 53 might have also been involved as well. So a couple of debuting drivers bringing out the fifth caution of the night.
Seems that the 53 kind of just ran over the 83. I'm not sure how slow he was really going into the corner, but I guess the 53 was faster. 83 just kind of ran into from behind.
Yeah, closing rate was certainly there, no doubt. And I'm not necessarily certain if the 83 was aware of the speed differential. He clearly came down. Derek Sherman was indicating he was going to pass low, and the contact made between the two of them. Go back and take another camera angle at it here, just to give you an idea of how slow that 83 car was. Out of turn 2, it's about 5 car lengths from David back to Sherman. By the time they get down here to turn 3, the gap's been completely closed up. And Joe David, if I'm not mistaken, is just out there trying to log laps. The reason that car was so slow and off the pace was because that's damage he sustained after taking on a faster pair. So he has no more lifelines available to him. And you got to wonder, if we end up, I keep saying the possibility of a long green flag run, and right now it's not looking like that's going to be the case with the multiple cautions we've seen early on, but just based off of speculation, if we end up seeing long green flag runs, if we've got drivers in the case of that 83, if we got other ones out there that have already used their faster pair, are really off the pace, that's going to be a very difficult obstacle for race leaders to have to try to get around when they come around to lap them.
Yeah, it will. And it's going to be really up to the driver to see if he can communicate which line he wants to take to the lapped car as he's approaching, and whether or not the lap car will oblige and get out of the way. Now, on another story here, the 95 gets one of his 4 laps back under this caution flag.
So Aaron Brown closer to getting back on the lead lap. See if he can leave Las Vegas with a decent finish. I have a call out to Mike Tellier back there in the 7th spot. He has been on pit road for a regularly scheduled stop here in these first 40 laps, but he started this race back from the 27th position. Has picked up 20 spots since the drop of the green flag. Brock Whitehead up in 4th place. He's picked up 10 spots since we went green. Nick Shriver in 8th. He's up 10 spots as well. And David Modespaw, granted he has had to use a faster pair up to this point, but he's up 15 spots in the 10th position from his 25th starting position. So we're definitely seeing that with the pit strategies that have played out here in the first 40 laps, drivers have been making some pretty sizable gains.
Yes, they have. Through strategy, avoiding wrecks, and staying out and or pitting at the right moment, a lot of these drivers who started near the back have made their way towards about the mid-pack to front of the pack here. So it's going to be interesting. Like I said, I'm going to keep my eye on some of these drivers here, because while it may seem like they didn't qualify so good, they still have some fast race cars.
Looking to see if there's any other drivers to add to the list of those we've already documented. that have used their faster pairs at this point, and I do not believe that I added the name of DJ Daniel to that list. He's most recently taken on a faster pair in that 23. So the list continues to grow of drivers that do not have that lifeline available to them should they get involved in an incident. And we are going to, more than likely, if the lights go out atop the pace car this time, we're going to be going back green flag racing in the vicinity of about 118 laps, 112 laps left to go. So still a long trek for these guys here, and a lot of torn up race cars even now. It's kind of wonder what kind of shape all the rest of the field is going to look like by the time we get around to the end of this race. But Cam Caldwell, as the lights go out top the pace car, takes the inside line. He'll be leading Tom Bourne, Bronson Stafford, Brock Whitehead, and Alexander Kerfan back to the green. TJ Roberts, Mike Tellier, Nick Shriver, Noah Owens, and David Modespa completing the top 10. Once again, highlight the 16th and final playoff driver position of Ron Gartner. He's up in the 11th spot, so doing what he has to do, at least for the time being, to keep drivers like David Modespa and TJ Roberts at bay.
You know, once you explained that this racing series isn't win and you're in, everything I said about pressure on that driver just kind of went out the window. Because I didn't realize that this series wasn't a win and you're in type deal. So he's just more stressed now about trying to finish good compared to, like, you know, worrying about if somebody different wins.
Right now, according to my calculations, if 39 of Ron Gartner can at least finish up inside of the top 20, nobody, points-wise, can get that 16th spot away from him. So his goal right now is finish in 20th position or higher. As the green flag is back in the air once again, Cam Caldwell going to edge ahead, leaving Bronson Stafford and Tom Bourne, a couple of teammates out of Sky Motorsports, to duke it out for second place. Give the spot to Bronson Stafford. Of course, Bronson Stafford winning earlier on this season at Michigan, but only running part-time, so he is not eligible to make his way into the playoffs, but certainly that's not going to stop him from trying to be a multi-time winner. And now, third place under contest, Brock Whitehead, Tom Bourne. How about Alexander Kerfan? He's a faster pair in the hole, but he's up here mixing up inside the top 5. Got a driver I just noticed that fell way down on the running order. That's the 49 of Kyle Gartner. I don't know if he maybe got up into the wall there on that restart or if he dropped out of the way, but he is now nearly the last car on the lead lap, back in the 25th position. Again, though, if you want to look at a driver that was consistent last year despite not finding victory lane, look no further than Kyle Gartner, as he was actually a contender for the championship in that finale. He was the only driver competing for the championship that had not won a race that season. So definitely week after week knows how to put that 49 in a good finishing position by the time that checkered flag waves, as Cam Caldwell looks in his rearview mirror. Bronson Stafford looming large. He's going to try the top side here on the front straightaway, headed for turn 1.
I really got to learn to look down before I start talking, because otherwise you might as well just call me, what's his name, Scott. But, because I was talking to you that entire time, and I didn't realize it. Anyways.
I can't read sign language through a computer monitor.
What I was saying, we got him, big wreck right there in turn 4.
That is going to be Christopher Lawrence, Noah Owens, Mike Tellier, as others come flying in. Josh Billiter's going to get a piece. Kyle Gartner, who I was just talking about, he is involved in that one as well. Multi-car incident once again in 3 and 4. 6th caution of the night. And I understand it's pack racing. I understand everybody's close quarters with each other, but at what point do you look back and say, man, we got to settle this thing out, because
the 88
if we don't...
Yeah, the 88 got loose. He got loose going into turn 3. He kind of came down and hooked the 47, and it kind of just took them both right up into the wall.
Did he get a bump from behind by the 24 of Chris Woodard? Let's take a look here.
I don't think he did. It's a possibility, right? No, he was loose.
No,
he was loose, but way before that, yeah. You
Now,
could
one
see
thing that
him
I noticed
sliding.
there, he was running behind, I think that was Brock Whitehead at the time, and it looked like the 88 checked up for the 31, the 24 checked up for the 88. With something like that, lifting before you get to the corner, would that be something that could unsettle the race car by the time you
Yes.
get to the center?
Yes, it does. Even just a little bit, you can see him. I'm riding on board the cockpit camera. You can see his hands on the steering wheel here. You hear him kind of lift out of the throttle a little bit, but even just doing that, when you lift out of the throttle entering the corner, it's just enough to get the rear of the car upset. And unfortunately, when he did that, he came down on the mic, and they just went straight into the wall.
And there were a number of drivers right there on the top of your screen that got collected up in this one as well. I believe one of those in that mix was Zachary Woods. Jay Gimbel in the 81, I believe, was another. Wesley Fuller in the 35, I think, was in the middle of that. Let's take a look at that incident there with everybody migrating up to the top trying to avoid. There they are, 25, 60, 35. Oh, Kyle Gartner clobbers Mike Tellier. 85 gets involved as well there. I believe that was, sorry, I'm trying to remember the debuting drivers here. The 85, Nick Biddy. So caution out for the 6th time tonight, and we're now reaching the point here with multiple drivers getting involved in multiple incidents where we're starting to see the after effects where it's just basically the car is too damaged to continue on. And we have our first official retiree of the race. The 81 of Jay Gimbel came down pit road, made the hard left-hand turn to the infield, to the garage area. He will not finish out tonight's event. Christopher Lawrence, Noah Owens, they have spent multiple laps on pit road here under these pacing period to get their damage repaired. And I believe, I thought Aaron Brown, wondered if he would be the lucky dog. It does not look like that's the case. Looks like somebody else was a lap down ahead of him. I'll try and figure out who that was.
Jay Gimbel has taken it behind the wall officially. He has retired from the session.
So we're going to have 24 drivers on the lead lap when we go back green. Joe David 1 lap down. Lawrence currently scored 2 laps down. Aaron Brown 3 down. Noah Owens currently 3 down, but I think he's going to lose another one here as he still sits on pit road. And Mike Sibanovsky still running, 14 laps down to the race leader. And under that caution there, Cam Caldwell came down pit road for the first time, but 45 laps in, Michael, and Tom Bourne has not made a pit stop yet. Do you like this strategy?
Well, I guess it really depends on how much the tires are wearing. Seth, you said it earlier. It's nighttime. There's more grip on the racetrack. So usually when there's more grip, your tires don't wear as much. And if the 54 feels like his car is fine, and he doesn't need to come down pit road, and I believe he feels just like that. So I don't suspect we'll see him coming down pit road unless he starts drastically losing positions under green.
And if it had been normal circumstances, maybe we'd have seen him down pit road sooner than this, but I think that you basically play your strategy in relation to how the race is being run around you. 6 cautions already, a lot of torn up race cars. Why would you give up good starting track position to be ahead of all that mayhem rather than put yourself back where you could run a chance of getting involved in a wreck?
That's a good point too. He wants to probably try to stay up front as much as he can, but we'll see what's going to happen and how much fuel he has left in that machine.
A couple of cars back here that are just outside the top 10. The 82 of Mike Corbeau and the 85 of Nick Biddy. They're almost starting to look like Whelen modifieds as the whole front end of their race cars are gone. That's because they don't have any fast repairs left. That's damage that they've sustained that they have to ride out the remainder of this race with. And we may end up seeing more and more drivers mid-pack rear of the field, maybe even up here at the front of the field by the end of the night, that may look exactly the same as Tom Bourne, Bronson Stafford. A couple of Camrys now are going to get us back under the green.
By the way, Seth, another good point. Most of this race has been run under the yellow flag, so I'm sure the tires really aren't that worn on that 54.
That's a good point there as well. Got to wonder about fuel, though. This could give us an idea of just how far these drivers can make it. Granted, we would have to calculate in the opportunity of saving fuel under the pacing laps as the battle for second place may be over. Bronson Stafford, is he edging ahead in 3 and 4? Yes, he is. Now TJ Roberts, and that's Alexander Kerfan. They're going to battle for the 3rd spot. What a run by Bronson Stafford around the top. He's going to get alongside his teammate for that position. Might have actually led that lap by a splitter.
Well, you said yourself, the outside lane gets good runs, and we're seeing it come into play here, side by side. Don't really see much side drafting, as I guess it's, you don't really want to try to hurt your car that much by making a mistake. So these two running side by side, they keep their distance. They could hold this whole field at bay.
Great run for TJ Roberts right now, battling for 3rd. That's the white machine on the top side there of Alexander Kerfan. That's the good news. The bad news is the guy he's trying to snipe that final playoff spot away from, Ron Gartner. There you see the black and purple 39. He's up inside the top 10 as well, running in that 9th position, trying to hold off Patrick McQuaid and Cam Caldwell.
Still side by side for the lead. These drivers don't want to quit, and that's good here too. You see the 54 on the inside, a tighter turn into these turns here, and that's where he loses a lot of his momentum, because the more you turn your car, the more speed you lose, while the 16 on the outside lane isn't turning his wheel as much as the driver on the inside.
And on board with 5th place, that is the debuting Nick Schreiber. What a great performance he has had early on in this one. Looking ahead at the top 2 rows as Stafford clears for the race lead. Bourne slops back to 2nd. TJ Roberts now gets to his right rear quarter panel. He wants the runner-up position as they're 3 wide behind him. DJ Daniel was there for a moment with Brock Whitehead, and I believe that was David Modespawn, the one who sends it into the first couple corners. Connection issues going on there for the 12 of Cam Caldwell. Going to keep it here in the mid portion of the pack as they are double wide and 3 wide around the blinking machine. Got to be careful that he doesn't reappear where your race car is, or that's going to have catastrophic results. But looks like drivers are giving that space where the 12 car is or used to be at least a little bit of room. And now Caldwell, oof, boy, he keeps disappearing for long enough periods of time. He may end up falling out of the server as we're 3 wide up ahead. DJ Daniel on the bottom, Tom Bourne in the middle, TJ Roberts way up on the top side. That is tight off of 4.
Yep, and the 54 able to get ahead, to get the line for 2nd place there. And boy, you got to think Bronson Stafford's loving this in this mirror, because he's pulling away here.
Oh man, that's really close there. Tom Bourne looks like he's trying to pinch the 23 down. 23 trying to keep his left tire off the wall of the line, and what a save there by Tom Bourne as he and the 23 make some contact. But look how that wadded everybody else up behind them.
Ooh, my heart skipped a beat on that one. That was very, very close.
Whitehead around the outside. That's Aaron Brown in the 95 up here in the mix. Now he is 3 laps down, but imagine if this car got back in the lead lap. He's showcasing what he could bring to the table if he's up here battling for position by the end of the night.
Absolutely. A little bit of 54 here. I think now that little bit of slide there, I really believe hurt the 54's tires. But we'll have to wait and see. It's either that or he just lost a lot of his momentum.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of both for sure. Either way, it's dropping him down in the running order. Brock Whitehead going to go around for 6th. David Modespaw now pulls up there. He's going to try and take the 7th spot. And Tom Bourne going to cross the 31 back over for 5th place. Let's see if those older tires can hook the bottom. Looks like they can, but he will not have the run off of the corner like the 31 of Whitehead will. Ooh, out of shape back there was Ron Gartner. Hang on to it, Ron. He's got a playoff spot to fight for here, and he's already a faster pair in the hole. So, to be honest, I appreciate the fact he wants to race with these guys up here, but when you're battling for a playoff spot, I almost think I might want to drop back to a safe spot, just preserve my spot up inside the top 20 in the standings, or in the running order, because that's all you need to do to make it into the playoffs, as Brock Whitehead and DJ Daniel with some contact up ahead of him. And now they're banging doors.
Yep, and that's about how it goes, you know. It's bumping and banging, rubbing is racing. Gotta try to get ahead somehow as they're 3 wide behind them.
Now remember, there is a little bit of history between Brock Whitehead and the Rebel Racing team. That was back, if I recall correctly, at New Hampshire, and it was between Brock Whitehead and Christopher Lawrence. You gotta wonder if the contact receipt exchanged here between the 23 and the 31 is a little bit of follow-up from the New Hampshire incident.
I don't know. It's hard to say, but it's making for some good racing back here in the pack.
Certainly is. Wadded up, double wide, 2 rows deep. Almost 3, 4, 5 rows deep as they head into turn number 1. That's your pole sitter, high, wide, and handsome back there. The 33 of Trey Whitehead, who is trying to make something happen with the 96 of Jeffrey Vickery, who's up there in the 12th spot. And ooh, things are really tight here. This is 6th place on back, folks, and it looks like it could be a battle for a race win if we were at a super speedway. Cam Caldwell to the apron with those fresh tires. What's he gonna do by the time we get to turn 1? He has to back off the throttle, tuck in line behind DJ Daniel.
He's not out of the woods just yet. Still, his connection issues are beginning to plague him once again. And that's gonna just should cause this pack to kind of try to give him as much space as they can.
Right now, you've got Bronson Stafford, half a second ahead of TJ Roberts. He's under fire from Kerfan and McQuaid for 2nd place. Tom Bourne running about a second and a half behind them. But this is the battle to watch for 6th place. And the 31 of Brock Whitehead. Oh, contact again between himself and DJ Daniel. And this time, they're going to save it once more. I thought that follow-up hit was going to send the 31 up into another car. How are they still pointed straight? Don't ask me because I have no clue.
Yeah, neither do I. And if I could get just as loud, my voice would have been up there. But holy moly, that I blinked, and the next thing I knew, I saw him sideways, and I was closed my eyes after that because I thought it was gonna be bad. But holy moly, I don't think the 31's gonna really appreciate that from the 23.
He got used up by a couple of cars. He got bumped from behind by Chris Woodard, and he got contact in the left rear quarter panel once again from DJ Daniel. And an amazing save by the 31, who at this point in time probably should be on the end of a tow hook, but still hanging on inside the top 10 in that 10th position. Meanwhile, Tom Bourne, to the attention of his crew, first pit stop he makes here tonight on lap 62. And now you kind of wonder about the strategy of Tom Bourne, because I'm sure he was thinking that he was going to have the opportunity with another quick yellow to be able to come down pit road. Now he's pitting under green. He's most certainly going to at least lose a lap. And so all of a sudden, what was looking like great strategy to keep that good track position, now he has to hope and pray that this green flag remains out and everybody else has to make a green flag pit stop to cycle him back around.
And that's the gambling that you've got to take. You said Tom, was it Tom Bourne that was locked into the playoffs?
He is locked in, yes.
There you go. This is his strategy call right here.
Jay Roberts trying to reel in Bronson Stafford. About 7 car lengths separating those two. Roberts may have his hands full with a trio of cars in a moment. That includes the lap car of Aaron Brown, who's trying to create the slipstream for his teammate Alexander Kerfan, currently your 3rd place driver, then Patrick McQuaid in 4th right behind them. All these drivers are in the playoffs, the 95, the 99, and the 77, but they're trying to figure out how they're going to end off the regular season. Re-wide possibly there. Off of turn 4, McQuaid made the move on Kerfan, who in turn got a run to the inside of Brown, and now it will be side by side for 3rd place between the Muffler Man and the defending champion car, driven this season by the rookie Alexander Kerfan.
Some good racing going on, Seth, and we talked about it before. Seems like even though there's still a bit of pack racing in certain spots, most of these drivers have gotten kind of spread out now. I think they're just settling down for their tires right now and starting to get that good green flag run. Although we probably should have had at least 2 more cautions by now.
Yeah, no doubt about that. But nice to see the long green flag run going on right now. You've got your top 5 that we showed you. This is 6th place on back. doesn't look nearly as scary a situation as it was about 10 laps ago. We've now gotten things settled out to pretty much single file, with Matthew Fleming right now holding down 6th position. Trey Whitehead up on the top side, he's in 7th with DJ Daniel. Jeffrey Vickery, that's 8th and 9th. Brock Whitehead currently in the 10th position with Mike Corbeau, Joshua Billiter, Gene Cato, and David Modesbaugh right behind him. And Ron Gartner doing what he's got to do right now in the 15th position. Other drivers that are trying to get that final spot away from him are up ahead, like TJ Roberts and Matthew Fleming, but it doesn't matter. As long as he finishes inside the top 20, Ron Gartner will be in the playoffs. But now 39 ducking down to the apron. Is this a pit stop for the 39 car? It is. This could be huge.
Strategy. These, it depends on when the last time 39 was down on pit road, but here he is now coming to the attention of his crew.
And he has to make sure he does not make a mistake. He also has to, much like Tom Bourne, hope that this thing continues under green, and that other drivers that he's battling for the final playoff spot, that they're going to have to come to pit road under green flag conditions as well to cycle things around. Ron Gartner right now is scored in the 22nd position. TJ Roberts currently running P2. That would have those two drivers tied for the 16th and final playoff position. And in all rights and purposes, I don't know what the criteria would be to break that tie. But it might be a moot point. Ron Gartner now just lost a couple more positions. He's down to 25th. So now, 70 laps into tonight's event, TJ Roberts is currently in possession of the final playoff spot.
Did he drop to... yep, there it goes. He's in 24th now, as it just updated for me. You're absolutely correct, and we're going to have to wait and see by the end of this race what could happen. We've got 4 cars, 1 lap down, and if we get 4 cautions, then they'll be all back on the lead lap.
And you want to know in terms of momentum who it's on the side of, it would be the 11 of TJ Roberts. Last 3 races for Ron Gartner, 19th, 22nd, and 23rd. Last 3 races for TJ Roberts, 9th, 4th, and 11th. So he has had nearly back-to-back-to-back top 10 finishes in the last 3 races. Definitely the momentum's on his side. He was mathematically within striking distance to get that final playoff position here tonight. The question is, though, with 80 laps to go, can he close out the deal?
Yeah, that's going to be the big question.
I think I'm not sure what was going on there. I thought he was slowing for pit road, and he was. Is he going to get that thing low down, though, is the question. I think he barely did by the commitment line. I don't think Alexander Kerfan knew he was coming to pit road. He gave him a shot from behind and almost spun the 11 car out when he was trying to get down below the apron.
Oh, yeah, big-time crunkle on the back of that number 11.
See how that affects him for the remainder of this one. As I'm wondering if maybe because the 39 of Ron Gartner came to pit road, TJ Roberts thinks, I might well do the same thing. Bronson Stafford's actually on pit road here as well in the 16 car. So this is one of 2 things. Either these are drivers that came to pit road under one of the 2 early cautions, and now they are officially having to make their first green flag pit stop. Either that, or could the fuel window maybe be open for these guys to either make it the rest of the way or make it a 1 more pit stop? Not really certain what the fuel window is for these guys, but we talked about the gambling at Las Vegas with green flag pit stops. We're starting to see it play out now.
Yes, we are, and the 16 almost overshot his pit stall. I saw that. It stopped with just enough time, but that was very, very close for that 16.
31 of Brock Whitehead and 41 of Nick Shriver also came down pit road behind Bronson Stafford. This is your battle for the race lead now. Patrick McQuaid in the 77 and Chris Woodard in the 24 car. Woodard, of course, trying to win the regular season championship, a former winner from this season back at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And behind them, you've got Alexander Kerfan and Matthew Fleming holding down 3rd and 4th. Fleming actually under fire from Jeffrey Vickery, who is the 2nd highest running driver out of the JKR Motorsports stable here tonight.
Ooh, the 24 almost got into the side of the 77 there.
Trying to use that side draft, and we'll get alongside here right into turn 3.
Clear's got it clear.
Based off my calculations, Next couple of drivers we should see ducking onto pit road in the next few laps would include the one of David Modespa, as well as the 77, 4, and 96. Actually, we just now had one diving onto pit road. That is the 4th place running, Alexander Kerfan, who gives up that spot to come down to the attention of his crew.
And the 85 is coming down this time as well.
Biddy, Trey Whitehead into the attention of his crew. Oh, Jeffrey Vickery slow, and he's coming down in the 96. Now the question here is, Michael, we've talked about it all night long, basically because everybody's been bunched up with the early restarts, the pack racing. Now what happens when the field gets spread out?
Yeah, it's going to be a good question, as here comes the 77 onto pit road this time. And I don't know if the 24 came in this time as well. With everything being spread out, there's a good chance that these pit stops can finish up their cycle in the green. Just going to have to wait and see how things are going to play out here.
David Modespa, Mike Corbeau coming down pit road this time as well. We're still waiting on the 24 of Chris Woodard, who I don't think we'll see on pit road as soon as we think. In terms of drivers that can stretch it the farthest up here inside the top 10, Woodard, Joshua Billiter, Kyle Gartner, Eric Sherman, Zachary Woods. These drivers all were last on pit road about 35 laps ago. There are other guys up here like Fleming, DJ Daniel, and Gene Cato. They are nearly about to turn their 50th lap on this cycle. So I think those are going to be some of the guys we'll see on pit road more than likely sooner than those others, including the race leader. There's Gene Cato actually in the 2, just now coming down pit road to the attention of his crew, and looks like he may have overshot his pit stall there. Much like a super speedway, Michael, this is a type of race that you cannot afford to lose that kind of valuable time.
Absolutely. And after keeping an eye on looking at the standings here, if and once everything cycles around, it could be Bronson Stafford taking the lead back once the rest of these cars up front, if they have to pit again. He's the first car 1 lap down right now, and Tom Bornell just in front of him. He's on the lead lap in the 9th position here. I'm waiting to see if maybe he could cycle around as a temporary leader, since he was one of the ones to stay out the longest when those cautions came out. So he could have some of the fresher tires amongst those that are still on the lead lap.
Yeah, right now Tom running in 9th, about 5 seconds ahead of Bronson Stafford. Right now is cycled into the 10th position. Saw the 4 there of Matthew Fleming. Great run for him, as he is mathematically ineligible from making his way into the playoffs here tonight. But he does have a top 5 finish this season. That was a 5th place run back at Michigan, and looking like he might be able to get his 2nd top 5 on the year if he can close out the deal with where he is at this point in time. DJ Daniel coming down to the attention of his crew now, giving up what was then the 3rd position. So now we are waiting on about 7, maybe 8 more drivers to complete this cycle of pit stops. Includes your top 6, Wesley Fuller and Cam Caldwell are those drivers that we are waiting on for their first green flag pit stops of the evening. And looks like Matthew Fleming's coming down to the attention of his crew from what would have unofficially been the 2nd spot. So in terms of tires and lap times, Michael, not really able to derive a whole lot from that, but if we're looking in terms of drivers in the draft as opposed to drivers not in the draft, observe here the race leader Christopher Woodard, that last time by, 33-second flat lap time. Compare that to a 29.995 that he ran back in the draft in the first couple laps of this race.
Yeah, he's definitely taking it easy, and you can see that. He's the 11 car with fresher tires has blown by him, and here comes, is that the 99 behind him? Yes, that is the 99, the neon green color car. He's currently running 11th place right now. But just look at the gain. They're gaining it on him so much because he's on older tires.
He might also be saving a little bit of fuel there. Also, I saw how he was looking like he was nearly coasting out of turn 4 when he let the 11 of TJ Roberts alongside him and eventually pass him. There is Kerfan going around as well. So that will put 10 drivers on the lead lap, with Kerfan being the last of those. Brock Whitehead, currently the first car 1 lap down. He's battling with Patrick McQuaid for what could potentially be the lucky dog spot if we were to get a caution. There's Trey Whitehead and Camp Caldwell back there as well. Caldwell, he is not too far away from when he's actually going to have to come to pit road, and the reason he's that far back is, as we documented earlier, the connection problems that he had. It dropped him way back in the field when the field was all bunched up prior to the green flag pit stops.
Absolutely. Watching this now, still no indication for pit road. Not sure how long that 24 has been out since his last pit stop. I don't know if you have that telemetry, but I am curious to know.
43 laps is now what he has been on since coming to pit road. Talking about race leader Chris Woodard. Same for his teammate Kyle Gartner. Extra lap, 44 laps for Joshua Billiter, 42 laps for Derek Sherman. And we saw Zachary Woods getting passed for the 5th position by Tom Bourne. Woods has been out for 42 laps. Wesley Fuller out for 41 laps. So Tom Bourne right now looks like he would be the one that would have the race lead cycle around to him when everything's completed. Woods and Fuller just now heading to pit road for their first green flag pit stops of the evening.
I was just about to say, I saw some cars coming down pit road, so I was curious to see who they were, but we still got a bunch of cars 1 lap down. You know, as much as I'd hate to jinx it, knocking on wood, if we were to get a caution right now, that would be probably not in the best interests for a lot of these drivers, especially those trapped 1 lap down.
Yeah, and the question is, too, how many drivers that are a lap down are running ahead of Tom Bourne? Because I don't know necessarily if the yellow flag were to fly, if either Bourne or Bronson Stafford would actually come down pit road under that yellow flag, so they could trap a number of drivers a lap down with not coming down pit lane. No doubt, Woodard, Gartner, Billiter, Sherman, they would be coming down pit lane, but it would take away the opportunity for a lot of guys to be able to utilize the wave around.
To honestly, as much as well thought out as that was, I do believe that if a caution were to come out now, due to the fact of how many cars are not on the lead lap, you would see everybody come down pit road. Mainly for the fresh rubber, but also for the full tank of gas that could possibly get them to the end.
Woodard's got a lot of cars passing him to get back on the lead lap. McQuaid and the Whiteheads, Brock and Trey, just completed the passes, so 11 drivers on the lead lap as Joshua Billiter on pit road in the 25, Derek Sherman in the 53. He's now on pit lane as well, so that leaves us with a total of 3 drivers, I do believe, that still have to make a pit stop. Correction, 2 drivers, as Cam Caldwell now has come down to the attention of his crew, so it's now just the teammates out of Rebel Racing, Christopher Woodard and Kyle Gartner, that will complete this green flag cycle as we've hit 60 laps to go here at Las Vegas.
60 to go, and we have a battle for what could potentially be the race lead here, and that between teammates Tom Bourne and Bronson Stafford.
And it is going to go to Bronson Stafford with Woodard hitting pit road, Kyle Gartner doing the same. So right here, this battle you're seeing, by the time they get back to turn 1, this is going to be your first and second place drivers, and Stafford is going to be the one who will be the race leader here when the pit stop cycle completely ends. Tom Bourne going to be in second. We'll see who's going to be in third between Woodard, Kerfan, and Gartner. It will be Kerfan in third, Roberts up to fourth, Patrick McQuaid up to fifth, and in the case of the 24 and the 49, yes, they were able to spend some time out in front, but staying out as long as they did, that has dropped them outside of the top 12 here.
Yeah, and unfortunately too, let's see, Bronson Stafford just regained the lead. Now the question is, there's still about 60 laps to go. The cars that, the 2 team cars that waited to pit, do they now have enough gas to make it to the end of the race?
If my calculations are correct, nobody in this field can make it to the checkered flag on what they've got in the tank, because we saw The 24 and the 49 come down pit road around the 47th, 48th lap of their stint. Now, granted, they may have been able to pit under one of those last cautions and save a little bit of fuel under pacing, but even then, I don't see, especially with the fact that, as we've documented, this is flat out, I don't see how you can save enough fuel to be able to make it a 60-lap stint. So I think everybody's going to have to come back down pit road at least one more time. Now it's up to those drivers or up to their crew chiefs of when that's going to be.
I completely agree.
As things cycle around, we've got 19 drivers on the lead lap. Bronson Stafford is the race leader. We do have another driver out of the race, Christopher Lawrence. He looks like he will finish in the 28th position tonight. Jay Gimbel already behind the wall in 29th. And Noah Owens effectively out of this race, 53 laps down, long extended stay on pit road. Looks like he will finish in the 30th position. So we effectively have 27 drivers still running this race, 19 on the lead lap, and less than 60 laps to go. We're into a long green flag run here at Las Vegas. Will we see another round of green flag pit stops? Will some late race yellows come into play? Can't wait to find out, but we're going to step aside for a quick commercial break. You're not going to miss the business action. No, we're going FRN, side by side.
Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCars. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, Foyt, and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gartner, and Team. You can expect high speeds, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and intense drama that you could only get in an IndyCar. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse IndyCar drivers, start your engines. Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCars. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, Foyt, and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gartner, and Team. You can expect high speeds, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and intense drama that you could only get in an IndyCar. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse IndyCar drivers, start your engines. Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCars. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, Foyt, and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gartner, and Team. You can expect high speeds, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and intense drama that you can only get in an IndyCar. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse IndyCar drivers, start your engine.
Second round of green flag pit stops underway here tonight. And the 5-star cuts 150 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Tom Bourne giving up the second position. Oh, overshoots his pit stall there. That's going to cost him some valuable time. And we've now basically got a number here, Michael, of how far these drivers can make it. About 42 to 43 laps on one tank of fuel. We were kind of debating it back and forth here of who could make it, who could not. My calculation said that nobody after that last pit stop could make it on fuel. That's the case. Everybody's going to have to pit from here on out to the checkered flag at least one more time. If they pit in the next 3 or 4 laps, though, they should be able to make it.
Depending on if we get any cautions right now, like you said, for about 40-ish or so laps, we have about that much left. So Tom Bourne here, he could very well be pushing it if we go green the rest of this way.
Alexander Kerfan in the 99 coming down pit road. He was at the time running in the second position. So he comes down to the attention of his crew. Here's the second place battle now as Patrick McQuaid gets around TJ Roberts. You saw there moments ago a pass for 6th with Christopher Woodard getting around Matthew Fleming. Now right now, Woodard and Kyle Gartner would be the two that could make it the furthest, but even those two drivers are about 15 laps short of making it to the finish. So these drivers all have to make sure they pick the exact perfect moment to come down pit road to maybe pull off a race-winning strategy. There you see the 39 of Ron Gartner. He has already made a pit stop, so I don't think he can make it on fuel even at this point. He was on pit road 5 laps ago. Right now, 2 laps down in the 23rd position. Again, just has to finish inside the top 20 to keep his playoff hopes alive. Want to give a big shout out here to tonight's sponsor, 5-Star Cuts, for sponsoring tonight's event. Be sure to check them out on Facebook at 5, that's the number 5, Star Cuts Experience. Also, big shout out to the rest of the sponsors here tonight as well. Hupka Real Estate, like them on Facebook at Erica Hupka Realtor, and also Blackgate Security. Check them out on Facebook as well. TJ Roberts coming down pit road in the 11, already under service from his team, as he's going to give up a spot inside of the top 10. Again, just trying to manage the gap between himself and the 39 of Ron Gartner.
Keeping an eye in here, the 16's got to be careful he doesn't give up too much track position to fresher tires here. But right now, he's about 6 seconds ahead of second place, Patrick McQuaid. And I have to wait and see if he's going to be able, when he's going to come down pit road, because Bronson able to stay out a little bit longer. I think Tom Bourne came down way earlier than the 16 did, if I'm correct.
We got a couple more ducking on the pit road. That is Brock Whitehead in the 31, Trey Whitehead in the 33. So we've made a lot of comparisons here tonight to super speedway racing and the fact that it's been flat out, it's been pack racing. Let's put another aspect of super speedway racing into the possible conclusion of this race, highlighting the 24 of Chris Woodard and the 49 of Kyle Gartner. These guys were the last ones to hit pit road during that first cycle of green flag pit stops. Would they try and extend it as far as possible, come down pit road and not take on any tires at all, maybe just a gas and go?
Well, that depends on how worn out the tires are. I mean, we haven't seen this stint of the race hasn't been run under enough cautions as the first part of the race did. So we could now be seeing just exactly how much wear is going to be on the racetrack for these tires.
Yeah, already we've been able to get ourselves under a long green flag run of about 60, 70 laps. There you see we had some early yellow flags, 22 laps with 6 cautions, and a number of them occurring within the first 40 or some odd laps of this race. But since then, these drivers have gotten themselves spread out. We've had some great long green flag runs, and we may be setting up for a fuel strategy race at the end here at Las Vegas. Here's the battle for 4th place going on. Kyle Gartner completing the pass on Matthew Fleming. Fleming not going to go away that quietly as more drivers hitting pit road. Nick Schreiber in the 41 just now coming down to the attention of his crew. I believe also Ron Gartner in the 39 is back down pit road. Remember I said didn't look like he'd be able to make it, so this could potentially be his final pit stop of the evening, but it could be a costly one because he was already 2 laps down prior to this final pit stop.
And he overshot his pit stall too, so that's going to cost him some more time.
Dean Cato in the 2 just ahead of race leader Bronson Stafford coming down pit road. Joshua Billiter, David Modespa, they are now on pit road as well. Keep in mind, Modespa is also another driver that's battling for a playoff spot as Bronson Stafford, he was running really low there through 1 and 2. Wonder if this might be an indication to the 47 of Mike Tellier that he might be coming to pit road this time. Let's see here through 3 and 4 if he tips those left sides below the white line. And yes, he is coming down pit road this time. Ooh, a little bit of difficulty getting that thing wound up towards the commitment line.
Well, let's hope that he doesn't get a black flag on that one. It seems like he might be okay. Let's see, make sure he comes in. Perfect stop for this 16's got to be a perfect stop.
Chris Woodard, Kyle Gartner, Matthew Fleming all on pit road here as well. So the floodgates have opened and drivers are realizing that they are in the window to make it the rest of the way. It's a mass migration to pit road, giving the race lead now over to Patrick McQuaid in the 77. McQuaid already locked into the playoffs, was the 11th seed coming into this one. Could he pull off some magic here late in the season? He's now down to the attention of his crew. This should turn the race lead over, I believe, to the 47 of Mike Tellier, who was running as the last car on the lead lap just moments ago. Now he might actually be heading to pit road here, getting out of the way of the faster traffic of Josh Billiter. If that is the case, race lead will be turned back over to the 54 of Tom Bourne. But right now, on my calculations, Tom Bourne is right on the mark of maybe being able to make it to the checkered flag. He might have to save a lap and a half of fuel, though. Can he do that and keep the 16 of Bronson Stafford at bay? And actually, Bronson Stafford might not be the driver to worry about, because TJ Roberts has leapfrogged the 16.
Yeah, and that's very true, but we've seen how fast that 16 car is, so they're about 2 seconds or roughly around each other here, about a second and a half, so it's going to wait and see the 54. He has enough time to save, but you said it before, Seth, you're running full throttle here. How do you save?
Yeah, that's the big thing, because I just don't see how you can. I don't see how it is possible to save fuel unless you're able to get yourself up behind another car and utilize the draft to maybe save something. Now, this battle between TJ Roberts and Bronson Stafford, we're going to stay on it for just a moment here because this is important. This is a very important position for TJ Roberts. If he loses the spot and drops back to 5th place, that will put him 20 positions ahead of Ron Gartner, and correction, only 19 spots ahead of Ron Gartner because Gartner just picked up a position on Nick Biddy. So it is literally coming down to 1 or 2 points between Roberts and Ron Gartner as to who's going to get that final playoff position, and it's going to happen here in these final 30 laps.
The 16 is
Ron
really
Gartner
reeling
just
in
picked
the
up another
11.
spot, by the way.
And it looks like the 11 might lose that spot as here comes the 16 to the inside.
And Ron Gartner picked up 2 more spots since I just spoke. From 24th, now up to 22nd, bypassing Aaron Brown and Gene Cato. So this now puts Gartner back into the top 16. Roberts currently out by 2 points. Zachary Woods, you see them bypassing him. He's still yet to come to pit road before this race comes to a conclusion. So Roberts picking up a spot there. He's now up to 4th, but Ron Gartner is only 18 positions back in the 22nd spot. And we know that Ron Gartner can make it on fuel. So right now, TJ Roberts has to find at least 2 more positions, or hope that Ron Gartner loses at least 2 more positions in these final 30 laps.
Seth, you got to keep an eye on this too. Look at the 16 catching the 99. He's gonna pass him probably on the outside, coming off of turn 4 here, and that's gonna be for 2nd spot. And he's pretty much within the same turn on the same straightaway as the race leader.
And his lap times are blazing fast around the other drivers he's battling with. That last time by, 30.5. It's been 31.2s for Tom Bourne the last couple of laps. That time, 30.6, and only 2.5 seconds separate Tom Bourne from Bronson Stafford. If Stafford gets up there to his teammate, you gotta wonder how hard is Tom Bourne going to battle, especially with the fact that coming in tonight, he was already locked into a playoff position.
Momentum is everything. I'm sure the 54 isn't gonna go down without a fight, and it's gonna make things interesting if the 60 can catch him. He's getting closer and closer. Like you said, Seth, I think the 54 is trying to save a little bit of gas, and with doing so, he's just losing a lot of momentum compared to what these other drivers are running.
See, riding on board with Bronson Stafford, that is your race leader, Tom Bourne, up ahead of him, getting closer and closer, larger and larger out the windshield. Tom Bourne, I guarantee you, he's trying to look as little in the rearview mirror as possible, but there they are in the same camera shot, coming back to the start-finish line. And I also saw maybe a little bit of traffic up ahead that these race leaders might have to deal with. First time that they're going to have to deal with some potential lap traffic here tonight.
It's going to definitely make things more interesting as they're going through the corner. You can see them just now entering turn 3, and the leader isn't that far behind them. Now the question is, will they, the way the 16 is closing in on this 54, who as you just saw, cannot keep it hooked to the bottom of the racetrack, will the 16 get around the 54 before they hit the traffic? And it really looks like it's about to. Here he comes right now.
And it's going to be no contest, it looks like. Bronson Stafford driving it deep into 1 and 2. Clears before they even got to the center of the corner, and he will go back to the point. Bronson Stafford looking for his 2nd win on the season here in the BackFire Sim Racing Cup Series, getting his 1st win back at the 2-mile speedway / super speedway of Michigan. Tom Bourne slots back in 2nd, and if you think about it too, if Tom Bourne was close on fuel, dropping back here into the slipstream of the 16 is actually probably going to help him reach the conclusion of this race. So better to give up the race win and ensure that you're going to finish this race up inside of the podium rather than battle with your teammate and possibly not make it back to the checkered flag.
Nah, I see. If my name was a certain other commentator named DW, I would say, nah, it's better to run your car out of gas than it would be to play it safe. You want to try to go for the win. Don't play it safe just because you're locked in. You got to show off. You got to go in with a lot of momentum. So I definitely say go for the win here.
Right now, 3 drivers by my calculation cannot make it. Actually, 4 drivers cannot make it the rest of the way on what they've got in the tank. We're going to be seeing them on pit road in these final 23 laps. Those drivers would include Zachary Woods in the 60, Cam Caldwell in the 12, DJ Daniel in the 23, and Derek Sherman in the 53. I don't see how they can save enough fuel to reach the conclusion. They all pitted with more than 50 laps to go, and there you see the 53 coming down pit road this time, Derek Sherman. So he is making his final pit stop of the day. Expect those other 3 to be making their pit stops in the next 10 laps or so. As looking at TJ Roberts running in the draft of Alexander Kerfan, he's got to pick up that spot, and he's got Chris Woodard in the 24 reeling him in as well. So Roberts, this is not a good situation for him. Remember back, you talked about when Curfan got into the back of the 11 car, and we'll see right here what you were talking about. Would damage on the back bumper like that affect a car here at a track where you have to run flat out?
I don't know. I mean, I don't see the rear spoiler lifted up any higher than any of these other cars. So you would assume probably not, but I honestly...
Caution! Patrick McQuaid has gone around in 3 and 4. Another driver was collected as well. I believe that might have been the 39 of Ron Gartner. Yellow flag with 20 laps to go here at Las Vegas, and this changes up everything.
Oh, it was the 83. The 83 car, I don't know if he bounced off the wall, came down right into the 77, and the 39 car just had nowhere to go.
Ron Gartner trying to get that final playoff position. Patrick McQuaid was running up inside of the top 10. It's the debuting Joe David bringing out this late race yellow. It looks like he was trying to stay out of the way of oncoming traffic, and you know as well as I do, Michael, at that safer barrier, it starts on the entrance of turn 1, and there's a little bit of a jut-out area where it begins. I almost think the 83 may have brushed that, and that's what shot him down to the left.
It's very, very possible. And like you said, Seth, late race, here comes everybody to pit road.
Everybody going to take advantage of fresh tires. Oh, man, Ron Gartner at that point in time was running in the 22nd position. He was locked into the playoffs, but he now has more damage to deal with, a lot of it to the front end of his race car. That is not what he wanted to see for sure, and that might give TJ Roberts just a little bit of last-minute hope to possibly snipe that final playoff spot. These upcoming 20 or so laps are going to be interesting, and pit stop number 1 pays dividends, I believe, for Tom Bourne. I think he won the battle off pit road. We'll have to wait and see. No, they're saying the 16 of Stafford just barely edged him at the line.
And that's what you call being close.
Definitely. I believe that at Las Vegas, there is a commitment line further down past the first pit stall, and that's what the two were racing to, the 16 and the 54. Stafford was able to get Tom Bourne at the stripe there. So Stafford's going to be the leader when we go back green. Well, maybe. There's a couple of drivers actually elected to stay out, it looks like, including Matthew Fleming, Trey Whitehead, and David Modespaw. Let's wait and see what the situation is there. Nope, Fleming's coming down this time. Trey Wright's coming down this time. And David Modespaw is, I believe, going to do the same. Well, maybe not. No, he's not going to. But he is going to not be the race leader. I don't know what the strategy was there on the one car. So it will indeed be Stafford, Bourne, Curfan, Woodard. Right now, they're scoring Modespaw in the 5th position for the upcoming restart, which is going to be in the vicinity of 15 laps to go. But at the time that that caution came out, Michael, we had 14 drivers on the lead lap. That's it. That's the drivers at this point in time that have a shot of winning this race. Jeffrey Vickery is the first car 1 lap down in the 15th position.
You know, I'm looking back here at the 39. It looks like they've got a lot of that damage repaired on that machine. Or it's still a little bit, but you've got, like Jimmy Johnson did, you got to keep trying. Can't give up.
And he was 2 laps down at the time, did not lose a lap there with the repairs made on his machine, so he is in 22nd. If Gene Cato was able to get around him, the first he'd drop down possibly would be the 23rd spot. So right now, Ron Gartner still has a shot. So let's project that 23rd is where he could possibly finish here tonight. If you're TJ Roberts, who's going to restart in 6th, you have to finish inside of the top 2. You cannot finish 3rd because I don't know what the case is for the tiebreaker. That would have you and the 39 tied for the 16th spot. You want to make absolutely certain, tiebreaker or none, that you're going to be into the playoffs. So it has to be a 2nd place finish or a race win for that 11 car, and he's in the conversation, going to be restarting up inside of the second half of the top 10.
No, we've said it. You've said it before, Seth. You don't necessarily want to be the leader on these restarts because of how much the draft can suck you back up and they can pass you. So, bit of a predicament here for Bronson Stafford.
It is indeed. He's going to have Tom Bourne, his teammate, to the inside as Stafford elects the top side. Kerfan and Woodard will make up row 2. Modespaw and Robertson row 3. Zachary Woods is now up inside of the top 10 in 7th, so that pit road strategy worked out in his favor. He'll be alongside of Nick Shriver, and then Cam Caldwell and Joshua Billiter. That's going to be your top 10 as we prepare to go back green flag racing with what will be 16 laps to go. We saw those early cautions in the first half of this race. Everybody's bunched back up. Will we see a couple more yellows before the conclusion of this race? Something tells me, with a lot on the line for these drivers, we may end up seeing that yellow flag and a couple more late race restarts before all is said and done. But the pace car, back down pit road. It's going to be Bronson Stafford who will lead us back to green, and he's going to leave them in the dust for the time being, but that might be too much of a lead. We'll find out when they get through 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, it's definitely too much of a lead right here. If these other cars can get settled out, the 54 and then 24, they can reel the 16 back in very quickly. It looks like they're not gonna settle there. They're going 3 wide.
They are indeed, as Tom Bourne got tight off the corner, almost up into Chris Woodard. That opens the door for Alexander Kerfan to take it 3 wide. Tight between these manufacturers here, 2 Chevys and a Toyota, and behind them, side by side, that's for 5th place. That's David Modespaw looking to the inside of TJ Roberts.
See how long these top 3 can hold it here. It looks like the middle lane has a bit more grip to it than the bottom lane does. But here comes the very outside.
Look at that 54 of Tom Bourne moving around. Obviously, he's feeling the effects of the aerodynamics and the air moving around in that machine. TJ Roberts took a look there.
Oh, there it goes.
Wide, and now the 24 of Woodard. Going to get hooked by Tom Bourne. Alexander Kerfan is going to get collected as well. 25 of Billiter also gets a piece of it as the front straightaway is littered with race cars. Matthew Fleming in the 4 in the grass. Modespaw in the 1 all torn up. There's the 85 car trying to get past him. That's Nick Biddy. A lot of damage on his machine. And you just got the feeling that somewhere along the line of that 3 wide situation, something was bound to happen.
Absolutely, and the 24 just tried to close the door, and unfortunately he wasn't clear to do so.
Go back and see what happened here. It was a 3 wide battle for the runner-up position. Tom Bourne, Chris Woodard, and Alexander Kerfan. 24 was definitely not clear. He gets spun down to the inside, gets hit by Billiter. Oh man, it's Modespaw, Shriver, Trey Whitehead. They get the 99. A tough break there for Shriver. He'd been staying out of trouble all race long. And you want to know a driver that might need a clean change of underwear, we're going to go on board with the 35 of Wesley Fuller. Talk about shooting the gap. Take a look and see what he was able to do on the front straightaway.
Absolutely incredible.
I believe he's going to split Kerfan and believe it's, yeah, Shriver right there. My goodness. Sometimes the opportunities open themselves up and you've got to take advantage. That was one of those cases. And Fuller actually going to now be just outside of the top 10 because of that move. David Modespaw had already used his fast repair early on in this race. He was a long shot driver to potentially get into the playoffs. That will not be the case now as he
Look
sits
who's
on
in our
pit
top
road.
2. Look
I was
who's in our
just
top
noticing
2.
that. But the question here is, if Ron Gartner can pass drivers like Matthew Fleming and David Modespaw, depending on how long they're on pit road, and that raises the bar up a couple of positions again. And if, put it this way, Ron Gartner, if he picks up 2 more spots, And TJ Roberts cannot point his way into the playoffs.
Very
And he
true.
just picked up one. Ron Gartner just picked up one. Modespa on pit road. Gartner just bypassed him for the 21st position, and he just passed Matthew Fleming. So at this point in time, the only way that TJ Roberts can make his way into the playoffs is he has to be where he's running, obviously, but he needs Ron Gartner to be involved in a wreck here in these final 10 laps that's going to take him out of reaching the conclusion of this race. That's the only lifeline that the 11 car has right now, because there are too many damaged machines behind Ron Gartner to be able to pass him right now with him being under power.
And it seems like we're going to be under 10 laps to go before we get this restart.
Two drivers who that caution, not this past one, but the one before, really helped out were Cam Caldwell and Zachary Woods. These were two guys that were about 5 laps away from having to make their final pit stop of the day. Caution came out, they stayed on the lead lap, kept their track position, and now they are on an even keel with the rest of the drivers around them. Caldwell was up front early on in this race. Zach Woods actually had to use a fast repair very early on in this race, and now those two have a shot to be up here and possibly win this race. They're already locked into the playoffs. Caldwell with a win at Pocono. Woods still looking for his first win of his BackFire sim racing career.
And here we go. We're going to have a restart with what should be exactly 10 laps to go.
So the way they're going to line up with a total of 12 drivers on the lead lap are as follows. Bronson Stafford, the race leader. He elects the inside line this time for the upcoming restart. TJ Roberts lines up alongside him in second. Zachary Woods in third. Cam Caldwell fourth. Joshua Billiter missing nose and all. He was involved in that last yellow flag but did not pit. He'll complete the top 5. DJ Daniel up there in 6th. Chris Woodard in 7th. Mike Tellier 8th. Tom Bourne 9th. And Trey Whitehead, the pole sitter, completes the top 10. Last 2 cars on the lead lap, Nick Shriver and Wesley Fuller. They are going to be the ones to possibly settle this thing out. But I say that, on the last restart, we had 14 cars on the lead lap. So we could have as little as 8-10 cars on the lead lap if we have ourselves another late race yellow here and another late race restart.
I'm impressed with the 60 car. It wasn't long in the early parts of this race, so he was just driving around without a front end. Now here he is, fully repaired and in 3rd place.
I kind of feel that we should call Zach Woods the comeback king, especially after what he was able to do at Pocono and able to do it again here tonight at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It's a Toyota of Bronson Stafford, a Chevrolet of TJ Roberts. Green flag back in the air. We're 3 wide back there. That's the 24 of Chris Woodard jumping to the outside of Billiter. I don't know what the rules are for lane change. Obviously the 25 off the pace, but Woodard definitely passed him before the start-finish line. We'll follow up on that, though, as at this point in time, Woodard has worked his way up to 6th. Got a car in the wall back there. Aaron Brown with Kyle Gartner, still under the green flag, though.
And the 11 has fallen outside the top 2.
He has indeed, at this point in time, though, with Ron Gartner now unofficially in the 19th position. Tom Bourne through the grass. Tom Bourne got loose off the corner. He's down through the infield grass, catches the short track portion there of the infield. He's going to bring it back up, hopefully without any incident. Drops back to 10th place, but back to the Ron Gartner situation. He's up inside the top 20. TJ Roberts does not have a lifeline now.
Someone below the apron there on the back straightaway. Not sure exactly who that was. Oh, we got trouble in the back. Trouble in the back. They saved it. They saved it. Mike Tellier was sideways. Man, these guys are not holding back now. The final 10 laps. Here we go.
It's the old bring home the trophy or bring home the steering wheel. 3 wide. That's Schreiber on the bottom. DJ Daniel in the middle. Caldwell up on the top. Now it's between Daniel and Caldwell. That's the battle for 4th place. Tight there on the back straightaway as Caldwell tries to pinch down the 23.
Look at the 11. He's trying to get a good run and back to try to get back into the top 2.
And TJ Roberts right now, I'm sure he's being told that 39 is up inside the top 20. Your chance of pointing your way into the playoffs, it's null and void. So that might be some extra motivation. Oh wait, 39 on the apron there. Is he smoking?
He is smoking.
Oh no, Ron Gartner, if he loses a couple more spots, TJ Roberts may still have a shot. Gartner is in the 20th spot as they run right now with 7 laps to go. Michael, this might come down to the final mile and a half as to who gets the final playoff spot.
He is on the apron. I'm watching him now. His car is still running. I'm not sure if it's overheating or something's going on here. He might just be trying to limp it around.
He's down to 21st on the results right now. TJ Roberts would have to win this race to tie up with Ron Gartner for that 16th position.
Well, he's almost in position here. He's sitting in 3rd place. He's got a good shot at it.
Got Sky Motorsports with Bronson Stafford in the race lead. Spin Move Motorsports, Zachary Woods now going to give way to the 11 of TJ Roberts. Oh, we've got a car on the apron there into turn 1 again. Can't tell who that was, but they're slowing out of the way.
That was the 83. He was just getting out of the way.
That would be Joe David, 22nd position, multiple laps down. He is the next car, actually, to try and pass Ron Gartner, but he's 4 laps behind him. So for TJ Roberts, the only shot he's got of getting into the playoffs would be to tie with Ron Gartner. He'd have to win to be able to do that. I don't see Ron Gartner dropping any further than 21st, and Roberts has his hands full for 3rd place. That's Cam Caldwell on the top side.
4 laps to go. Keeping an eye on this front pack here. Anything can happen. Another caution. That could be a lifesaver for the 39, or it could hurt him.
Aaron Brown missed the start of this race, was 4 laps down early. Now he will not be in the hunt for this victory. There you see the blue and black 95, but certainly a lot better finish than it could have been. Right now, 3 laps down in the 19th position. Next car he would be battling would be Patrick McQuaid, but he's a full lap ahead. So Aaron Brown at least a top 20 here tonight, and the finish could have been a 30th place had he not even taken the green flag.
Absolutely. 3 wide here, looking again, coming into turn 3.
Zach Woods closing up the gap there on Bronson Stafford.
Oh my goodness, the 11 almost took out.
Oh, DJ Daniel into the wall. Roberts involved as well. Shriver cautions out. We're going to overtime. Look out oncoming traffic.
Well, that was a hard hit for the 11, and if the 11 doesn't have a fast repair left, well, I think 39 with his troubles is safe.
Well, the 11 does have a faster pair available to him, but again, he was in the situation where he was going to have to win the race in order to tie with Ron Gartner. And I'm going to wait for a double check on this, but Ron Gartner might be out of the race.
All right, I'm going to wait. I'm going to look around and see.
Yeah,
I think he is. He is done.
Went to the garage.
I think he is done.
Oh boy! So this ain't over. It ain't over yet. Go back and see what brought the caution out. Jay Daniel was in that situation with Roberts and Shriver, and it looks like Roberts got into his left recorder panel going into turn 3.
It seemed like he was running pretty normal and then just disappeared. Maybe it's a connection issue with the 39.
We'll double check on that. Aaron Brown nowhere to go, and a heart-stopping moment there from Mike Tellier. Had Wesley Fuller. I think Fuller may have just barely gotten to the back of the 47. Saw Tellier shaking the car around, making sure that it was still okay. I think they might be all right.
Depending on how many laps the cautions are, if we can get only one attempt, I think that the 39 can only drop 1 more position.
Depends on how many green-white checkers we would have, to be honest, though. I think you're right, though. I think even if we used all of the overtime green-white checkers available to us, Joe David in the 83 might be the only one who would be able to pass Ron Gartner. That would be for 21st, dropping Gartner back to 22nd. So TJ Roberts would still have to finish up inside at least the top 2. Have a shot at the playoff position. And with coming down pit road, taking on the faster pair, he's going to be restarting back in the 12th position. Jeffrey Vickery still has a shot now as well, as he was the recipient of the lucky dog. So 13 drivers will be on the lead lap when we go back green. Mike Tellier coming down pit road here, so apparently the damage he sustained, apparently wanted to get that repaired here for this final restart. I was going to mention, though, how about Zachary Woods in that 60 car? Saw him right on the back bumper of Bronson Stafford. almost about to come around and receive the white flag. And Stafford, you think about the mentality of these guys right now. Look at who we've got up here inside of our top 5. All of these guys are going to be taking this green flag with a nothing to lose attitude. Bronson Stafford already has won this season at Michigan, but he's not battling for points. He cannot get himself into the playoffs, so he's just going to try and go out there and get his second win of the season. Zach Woods, he's already locked into the playoffs, came into this in the 8th seed, but he's still looking for his first career victory, so he's going to be aggressive here. Nick Shriver, he's making his debut. He's got nothing to prove to these guys. If he can pick up a victory, man, everybody's going to be turning heads thinking, hey, this is something we got to take seriously if he runs full-time next year. You got another former winner in Chris Woodard. He's trying to win the regular season championship, but at the same time, he's trying to be a multi-time winner on the season. He's going to be lined up in 4th. And Wesley Fuller, who's had a couple of near misses in these last couple of yellow flags, he's another guy that's out there trying to prove something, trying to get his first career victory. There's a lot of guys right now that I think are going to be using the old adage, never lift, because in this case, you just can't.
Absolutely true. The pace car lights are off, and, well, this is going to be an interesting one, to say the least.
Way they're going to line up here for this restart outside of the top 5. Tom Bourne in 6th. EJ Daniel in 7th. 8th place is going to be Cam Caldwell. Correction, Joshua Billiter. Cam Caldwell will be 9th. Trey Whitehead in 10th. And then the last drivers on the lead lap, TJ Roberts, Jeffrey Vickery, and Mike Tellier. Oh, by the way, in case you were wondering, of the drivers on the lead lap, only one of them still has their faster pair. That's Jeffrey Vickery. The other 12 have all used their faster pairs at this point in time. In fact, we can go as far as to say that Vickery is the only driver in the field that still has his faster pair intact. Everybody else has used theirs. So credit there to Jeffrey Vickery for not being a driver having to use a lifeline here tonight. He's on the lead lap and trying to get himself a top 10 finish here this evening. Will one green-white checker be all we need? They're going to have to complete one lap in order for us to have this race finish officially under the checkers. If the caution comes out between now and the white flag flying, we rack them up and do it again. Couple of Camrys, Stafford and Woods, get ready to get us back under potentially the final restart of the night. Green flag flies, Wesley Fuller to the apron, Woods defends the inside as Stafford scampers away into turn 1.
Keeping an eye on the back of the field, the 16 car got a good run. Will that stay that way? Remember, if they get single file, they could catch him easily. It's this running double file that's going to be their downfall.
Couple of Camrys going to work together in the back straightaway. As soon as I say that, Tom Bourne jumps to the outside of Zachary Woods. 3 wide, almost 4 wide behind. DJ Daniel almost to the apron there into turn 3 on TJ Roberts. Might have given the 11 a little bit of a shove there. Maybe some payback from the earlier incident. As up towards the front, Woods and Bourne side by side for second place. They've taken the white flag. This is a battle 0.3 of a second, now half a second behind Bronson Stafford.
Seems like the 16 might have a good shot at winning this. Behind them, they're still battling and out, blocking lanes, blocking runs. They're never going to catch the 16 with this. I believe that is the 60 who's moved into second place. And boy, like we said, a comeback for that number 60 coming off turn 4.
Bronson Stafford's going to go to victory lane for the second time this season as Caldwell spins across the start-finish line in the 4th spot. But Bronson Stafford, who has only taken a total of 3 green flags here this season, is going to now take his second checkered flag of his BackFire Sim Racing Cup Series career.
There he goes, first spin.
Slows it down before hitting the inside wall. And Bronson Stafford, it's a congratulatory, I thought it might be a door bang. There's a door bang by Mike Tellier. Just getting him started on his burnout there. Toyota's here tonight. 3 of them up inside of the top 4. Stafford, Woods, the top 2. Tom Bourne there in the 4th position. And officially, in the 21st position, Ron Gartner will secure the final spot in this season's BackFire Sim Racing Cup Series playoffs. TJ Roberts gave it a heck of a shot, but 5th place is going to come up just short If my calculations are right, he's going to miss out on advancing into the playoffs by 4 points.
That's a very tough break for them.
As Bronson Stafford continues to burn it down here on the front straightaway. He won at Michigan earlier on this season. He wins here tonight at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and the results are official. Here they are. Stafford with the win. Zachary Woods, we talked tonight about good momentum going into the playoffs. Woods will certainly have that with second. Same for Caldwell in third, and Tom Bourne in fourth. Christopher Woodard, I believe, is going to win the regular season championship as he will bring it home in sixth. Mike Tellier, seventh. Good run for him. DJ Daniel, he will be advancing into the playoffs, finishing eighth. And Trey Whitehead also will be a playoff contender as he finishes in ninth. Wesley Fuller, good run tonight, completing the top 10. 11th place is going to be Nick Shriver. What a debut for that 41 car. Jeffrey Vickery brings it home in 12th, and Joshua Billiter was the last car to finish on the lead lap in 13th. Good debuts as well for Derek Sherman and Mike Corveau, finishing one lap down but inside of the top 15. Kyle Gartner will finish 16th. Gene Cato, Patrick McQuaid, Aaron Brown, and Nick Biddy will complete the top 20. And then the rest of your finishing results: Joe David 21st. Ron Gartner actually was officially 22nd, but that still will be enough for him to get that final playoff spot. Fleming, Kerfan, and Modespa were the top 25. And these drivers did not reach the conclusion of the race. Brock Whitehead, Mike Sibanovsky, Noah Owens, Christopher Lawrence, and Jay Gimbel. Brock Whitehead in the 31 and Noah Owens in the 88. They still, along with Christopher Lawrence, will be battling in the playoffs, but certainly not the momentum they wanted going in. Same for Kerfan in the 99, who finished outside of the top 20. Next week, these drivers will be heading to the desert in Phoenix to begin the playoffs, as the 16 official drivers for the championship are going to be as follows: Chris Woodard, Kyle Gartner, DJ Daniel, Christopher Lawrence, Alexander Kerfan, Tom Bourne, Aaron Brown, Zach Woods, Brock Whitehead, Trey Whitehead, Patrick McQuaid, Josh Billiter, Cam Caldwell, Gene Cato, Noah Owens, and Ron Gartner. Who is going to be advancing into the round of 12? Who will be the first ones eliminated? We'll be finding that out beginning next week at Phoenix, but it's now time to go down and talk to some of our top 3 finishers here this evening. Let's start first with the driver out of Radius Racing, who brings it home in the 3rd position. Let's see if we can talk with Cam Caldwell. Cam, Michael, and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yep.
Oh man, I know that coming in tonight, we knew that we were going to be in for pack racing. We saw you guys 2 wide. We saw 3 wide. On some occasions, we saw the peaking for 4 wide. How difficult is it to do that type of pack racing at a 1.5-mile track, a track that's really not built for that kind of racing?
It's interesting for sure. I think half the time you don't realize you're 3 wide until your spotter says it, and by then it's way too late to realize it. So it's fun though. God, that was a crazy race for me, at least. It was a roller coaster. But yeah, now the whole 3 wide, 4 wide thing, it's just a product of this type of plate-ish racing.
Now, we knew coming in tonight you already had that win at Pocono. You were up inside of the top 16 in points and the 13th seed coming into tonight. So what was the goal for this one? Because already locked in, knowing you're advancing into the postseason, was it to win to get momentum? Was it to win just to be able to have that extra win in your pocket there? What was the goal coming into tonight's Las Vegas race?
Just finish it, honestly, because I wasn't completely sure if I was locked in, so I just wanted to make sure that I finished top 20 because that's the minimum amount of points I needed. So towards the end, I realized that basically as long as I don't wreck the thing and have to tow and whatever, I'll be fine. So I just kind of went for it at the end. But it almost kind of went out the window in the middle of the race because my internet wasn't doing too good, and I ended up blinking out too much to where I lost a lap because of it. And then we got one of the cautions that ended that long green flag run at a perfect time for me, which got me back in the lead lap, and then drove up to 3rd, then pit again, just to see if I can make anything happen, because I remember like Michigan earlier in the season where I think it was Bronson who pit, and I ended up winning the race because he had fresh tires. So I want to try the same thing. I ended up finishing third, but that was where I would have started anyway. So I figured I probably would have finished there anyway. So I'm fine with it. It was fun.
We saw two entirely different races as well. We saw quite a number of early yellow flags in the first half of this race, and then you guys got into a long green flag run, completed at least one green flag pit stop cycle, and almost completed a second one there before we ended up having the late race yellow that set us up for all the late race restarts there and the exciting finish. But, I mean, how difficult is it as a driver to look at the first half of the race and be kind of maybe strategizing of coming down pit road under a certain caution period, and then all of a sudden you have to switch gears and start planning for the possibility of this race finishing under green?
Well, you kind of explain it right there. Like, it's just a big change. I think I pit under the last caution before the long green flag run, and had my internet not been having issues, it would have been perfect for me because I was flying through the field. But of course, those things happen every once in a while. But yeah, no, it was definitely a big change. And then also have the internet issue throw things into a loop. So I had to manage that. And I think we saw a lot of different strategies. And it seemed like there was at least one guy pitting every few laps. Even if a pit cycle just finished, it seemed like the next one would just start up again. So it was definitely interesting seeing all the different strategies, but that was all because of the cautions at the beginning setting up for when some guys would pit.
Well, Cam, congratulations on the great finish tonight. Congratulations on being a playoff contender. Looking forward to seeing how you started off when we head to Phoenix next week. Now we're going to give you the opportunity to thank some sponsors and do some shout-outs.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks to In the Pits News. We ran this really nice hunger awareness car tonight because it's Hunger Awareness Month. So I was hoping to really get a good run. We've done it the past couple years running this paint. So I really wanted to give it a good run, and next week I think we'll have a pink car for breast cancer awareness. And all the other sponsors at Radius Racing, all my teammates, and all my family for watching.
Cam Caldwell brings the 12-car home P3. You will be in the playoffs next week. Best of luck with that, and congrats on a great performance here tonight, Cam.
Yep, thanks, guys.
See if we can get our second place finisher here tonight, Zach Woods. Hey, Zach, Michael, and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yep, gotcha.
Well, I mentioned this during the broadcast. After we saw what you did at Pocono and here tonight, I think we're dubbing you the comeback king because, my goodness, you got that caution timed exactly when you needed it. I'm assuming you were only a couple laps out from having to make that final pit stop. You caught it just right. You bring this thing home in the second position. Man, I know that you wanted to get that first win on the season, but you got to be at an all-time high for confidence heading into the playoffs.
Absolutely. Oh, man, I am just, I'm beside myself. So actually, I was entering into 3 on the lap that I was going to run out of gas, and then the caution came out. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to try to just save under yellow, and hopefully this all works and I don't run out of gas under the yellow. Couldn't have been any better to get us back. We got about 80% of the race under power and knocked out and just trying to save our stuff.
Now, we saw there before that last yellow flag came out to put us into overtime, it kind of looked like it was a mano-a-mano battle between you and Bronson Stafford. Third place was side by side and losing ground to you guys. Were you glad to see that caution come out to maybe have another shot at the 16, or would you have liked to have kept it green and maybe had a shot at him there finishing under regulation?
Absolutely not. I was very happy that we managed to get away from the pack there, and man, I was so content racing one-on-one with a guy that's been really just a stout driver this season, and I knew we had a good enough car to be up there and race that way. It's just my experience being up front is so limited. So I really wanted to just mind my P's and Q's, make a move if he messed up, and then the yellow came out and it threw everything out of whack.
Obviously, coming into tonight, you were already locked in on points to be advancing into the playoffs. So with that being said, what kind of a mentality did you come into tonight's race with?
Well, I really wanted to see all 3 of the spin move racing cars get in and David did everything he could to put himself in a position to get in, and Gene was already in by the looks of it. And so my job was just to kind of manage and help any way I could. And unfortunately, David got taken out there towards the end, and he hopped on the spotter's box and was a really big help to me there at the end. So by the time David got caught up in that wreck, I literally told Gene on the radio, I'm like, well, I'm in the playoffs, so I'm just going to go for the win here.
Absolutely. Almost able to pull it off there, but second place run for you here tonight. Congratulations, Zach. Congratulations on making it into the playoffs. Looking forward to seeing how you started off when we get to Phoenix next week. We're now going to turn the mic over to you for some thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
All right, thank you. First things first, all of this cannot be possible without God's provision in our family, and never in my wildest dreams would I have thought we'd be able to meet so many great people here through iRacing. So all the glory tonight goes to him, and it's such a privilege being able to represent Lancaster Bible College, my alma mater. And just being able to represent that school well. And thanks, Kayla, for letting me do this on Friday nights and taking care of the kid. And oh man, God is so good and so grateful to be here. Thank you, guys.
Well, Zachary Woods gets his playoff started off on a high note. His best career finish here tonight, P2 under the lights at Las Vegas. Congratulations, Zach. Best of luck next week.
All right, awesome. Talk to you guys later.
Let's go down to victory lane in his fourth career start. It's his second checkered flag in the BackFire Sim Racing Cup Series. Let's talk with Bronson Stafford. Bronson, Michael, and Seth up here in the FRN booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Man, a heck of a run for you here tonight. That 16 car looked like it might be on a different level as far as speed. Of course, I know that the pit strategy played into that as well with the fresher tires, with the battle between you and the 54. But, I mean, obviously here tonight, it was all about managing the draft, managing the runs. How difficult is it to be able to do that at a track like this? Because we know you're capable of doing it with what we saw back at Michigan, but there's a lot more space to work with there.
Yeah, honestly, it's so much stronger here too. In all honesty, it feels like you suck up from 7, 8 tenths back, and you can get a run. Like, I was pulling Tom by people at sometimes. He was going almost 9 miles an hour quicker than me into a corner, and it's silly. But if you can break the gap, it drives fine. But yeah, the draft is strong. It's just something you get used to managing with how the Cup car is currently. We're 1.5 and 2 miles and whatnot. So
Now, people who joined this broadcast mid-race or even towards the end of the race may not realize this, but your evening didn't exactly get off to the smoothest start, involved in one of those first cautions there in a battle for 6th place, and actually had to use your fast repair quite early on in this one as well. So did that change the way you approached this race by the time we got to the midway portion of this event?
a little bit. I mean, you always want to try and save the fast repair if you got one till the end of the race. So having to burn it, I originally didn't burn it after the yellow. I repaired the car to see how it was, and I was so down on straightaway speed that I had to burn it, or if it did go green like it ended up doing, I would have lost at least a lap kind of deal. So I burned it at kind of like the perfect time. Was able to put tires on it, and then I think the very next yellow, like half the field came down, so I was able to get right back up into the top 10, and then had the freshest tires against Tom and whatnot. So it was just a matter of time before we got going under green, and then when we did, I think it showed we were able to open up the gap and hit at will and be able to close 7-8 seconds within 10 laps kind of deal. So the car was fast. It was really quick. I also love Vegas. It's one of my favorite tracks. I still hate what they did to the Cup car, but oh well, that's unfortunately what we're stuck with. And it makes racing close, and I think it showed in the first half with all the yellows. It's just too close quarters, and people just don't really give and take. And yeah, like you said, I even got involved in an incident myself with Lawrence. So it's just hard.
One thing we saw early on in this as well with all those restarts was much like a super speedway, race leader didn't really exactly want to get out to too big of a lead or else he gets reeled back in. When that late race yellow came out and you knew that you were going to have to defend for at least one green-white checkered, was there a certain amount of gap in your mind that you wanted to have between yourself and second place, or did you want to just make sure you kept them as far away as possible?
Uh, if you can get to about 7/10 at a track like Vegas, typically they won't catch you until the white flag in turn 3. Bonus points if you can get, second and third to run side by side, which did happen on that last green white checkered. Woodard, I believe, got to the outside of Zach there and was able to just race each other, so they kept each other back. But the first time with under 10 to go, it was very touch and go on when they were going to catch me with the gap, because it was only around 2, 3, 4 tenths, and that's only, you can get that in about a lap in a corner. So it's rough. You either want no gap or you want like a 1 second gap. There's no in between, unfortunately.
Well, a great performance nonetheless for you here tonight, Bronson. Second win in 4 starts here in the BackFire Sim Racing Cup Series. Congratulations on a great performance overall here tonight, and we're now going to give the opportunity for some Victory Lane thank you sponsors and shoutouts.
Yeah, we got you guys on the car, FRN. So we broke the curse a while back in Michigan, and it seems to have been a rolling good still as of late. So we're doing pretty good on that front. Huge shout out to Tom as well. Tom needed some fuel saving. We worked together pretty good tonight, and all that stuff going on. Shout out to G Fuel and stuff like that. He's got in his car, and it sucks we weren't able to have Matt Rod not race here tonight, which was a shame. I think he was looking forward to it, but I think something came up or something. But obviously, huge thanks just to everyone making this happen and for being here. It's always fun. You guys are great on broadcast, and obviously I'm only part time in the league, and it's cool that the league owner let me do that. So
Well, that's Bronson Stafford, win number 2 on the season for his number 16 Toyota Camry out of Sky Motorsports. Congrats, Bronson, and best of luck here in the final 5 races of the season. See if maybe you can pick up another win or 2 during the playoffs.
yeah, I think I got maybe 1 or 2 more starts in me, depending on track and mood and whatnot. So that's the joys of being part time. I'm not in the chase, got nothing to worry about. So we'll see what happens. But all right, thanks, Seth.
As Bronson Stafford, who will continue to celebrate down in Victory Lane. And
So Seth, I just want to point out, I don't know if you've seen it yet. Some breaking news out of the top 16. The 39 did not make it into the top 16.
ooh, let's see if we can.
Look in the here, I'll send it to you. I'll send you
Yes,
the
you are correct. Interesting. So there might have been some
bonus points or something.
bonus points that maybe I wasn't aware of. Okay, so that makes sense. Good thing we've got it here live after this race. TJ Roberts, according to what we are seeing here, he moved up to 15th place, leapfrogged both Ron Gartner and Noah Owens, and Noah Owens will get the final spot, 4 points over Ron Gartner. So this is why we rely on the official scoring and the official standings afterwards. We can try and calculate as much as we can live in our heads, but until we know the official word, nothing is absolutely certain. And so there you go. The last 2 drivers to advance into the playoffs will indeed be TJ Roberts and Noah Owens. Ron Gartner, who finished in the 22nd position here tonight, several laps down, is going to be the first car out, 4 points short of advancing into the playoffs.
Very, very tough break for him, but good job for TJ Roberts to get the job done tonight.
Absolutely. So TJ Roberts will be battling for a championship along with the 15 others that advance into next week's playoffs. And what a place to kick it off at. We know that here tonight it was all about pack racing, cool track conditions. So as we heard from Bronson Stafford, a lot of suck up, a lot of opportunity to be able to make moves. Next week it's going to be all about not blistering the tires as we head to the hot and slick surface of Phoenix.
Yep, and that's going to be a fun race to watch. I can't wait for it. Short track racing is always the best.
Going to be a good one as the playoffs begin here for the second season of the BackFire Sim Racing Cup Series. 16 drivers will begin their journey to try and claim championship gold. Who is going to be the one at the end of that road to hoist the trophy? Hope that you guys join us as we'll be finding out. Kicking it off with the Phoenix International Raceway next Friday night with the green flag flying at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Congratulations once again to Bronson Stafford on the victory here tonight. Congratulations to the 16 drivers that will be running the playoff banners next week. And Michael, thank you to you. Join me in the booth here tonight for this exciting regular season finale.
Absolutely. It was fun to be here. Fun to be here with you, Seth, and can't wait for Phoenix.
Thanks to all you that tuned in here tonight as well. Hope you guys enjoyed our coverage of the Las Vegas Motor Speedway here for the BackFire Sim Racing Cup Series. For Michael Norman, I'm Seth Cole. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night. We'll see you guys for playoff racing next week as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.